Good evening, all, and welcome to the Tactical Devils. I'm your host, Jarvis, and with me tonight, I have no one. Stewie's on footy, so it's just me. I will just do a short reaction for you guys. And, we just witnessed a game of Man United playing against Burnley. 2-2 started out really poor with an own goal from Aiden Heaven. But we saw a good thing. I've been talking about it lately. Benjamin Sesko is on fire, scoring two beautiful goals. But then again, when we were up 2-1, we fell back and let Burnley into the game after being totally dominant for the end of the first half and the beginning of the second half. We let Burnley into the game. This is where we are at the moment. So effing poor. It's so frustrating being a Man United fan at the moment. And Burnley scored the equalizer 2-2. We had our chances. We huffed and puffed. Lacey came in, had a couple of beautiful shots. He deserved better, but it is what it is. Guys, girls, I will go through the game. I have the tactical board ready. I have uploaded some footage so we can try to analyze as best as possible. And we will talk about the game. So stay tuned, smash the like, subscribe if this is your first time, and I will be back after the short intro. Boom, 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 boom. Evening all, and this is the Tactical Devils, the match reaction. Man United dropped 2 points again against one of the relegation fodder teams of the league. We drew against Leeds, we drew against Wolves, we drew against West Ham, we draw against Burnley. Talking about top 4, top 5 Champions League next season started to feel like a pipe dream. It's nothing that we can do. But I don't know how we are going to fix this. We have sacked the coach. We saw Aaron Fletcher coming in. This is his first game. We tried our best. I feel we did well from a footballing standpoint. I think these players let him down. I think he unleashed them a little bit. We had 30 shots and dominated possession. But again, I think we lack quality. As soon as Bruno went off the pitch, we start dilly-dallying with the ball. It takes too many touches, too slow on the ball. And I felt that we didn't create much except from a lot of shots. Lacey, by the way. But Sesko tonight was on fire. I like Sesko. I like what I saw, and we talked about Sesko. But first of all, I want to say hi to everybody who's tuned in. We have Tom Porter. Big up, Tom. Good to see you. We have Catherine, No Nonsense McDade. Big up, Catherine. We have Denial P. Trevor Wade. I Am Titanium is here. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you, Bilal. We have Carlos. Big up, Carlos. And who else? We have Devilish Tacticos United. Big up, big up. Raven Strip is here. Sebastian, big up, Sebastian. So sad, yeah. It's sad. Yeah, it's sad. We should have won that game. And let's see. That's me. Is it just me? It's in the house. Big up. Lots of people have tuned in already. Day 147 and Twalumba Piri is in the house. Big up, saying big up. Jarvis. So, guys, girls, how do we feel after this game? Are we disappointed because we didn't win? Did we play well? Are we happy with how Fletcher set up his team? Are we happy with his selection? We will go through it. But I will first of all bring out the stats, and we can have a look at what went on in the game. Let me just bring up the screen. I'm by myself, so I just need to do this. Everything is laggy also. I'm uploading like 10 different videos at the same time. So let's have a look. The momentum of the game. We are red. Burnley's in purple, and yeah, you see you see the momentum. We are actually dominating most of the game, and they huffed and puffed a little bit in the beginning. They scored a goal. We took over. We totally dominated the game up until we scored the 2-1 goal. Suddenly we fell back. We let Burnley into the game, and we tried our best at the end, but we couldn't get the decisive goal and win the game. If you look at the stats, we had 65% in expected goals of 2.25, total in 30 shots and 4 big chances created. And when you look at Burnley, they created only 0.24 xG and 7 shots in total. So I would say we deserved a little bit better today. I think we were unlucky, but it's not luck when you play so many games in a row and you can't finish the game. So for me, I'm super disappointed. I felt that this was ours to take, ours to win, and with the result for tonight's round, Chelsea lost against Fulham. We had a chance, and now, okay, we are past Chelsea, but we have a really tough schedule going forward. We have Manchester City, we have Arsenal in the next couple of games, if you don't count the FA Cup game against Brighton. So if Ole comes in, it will be a tough start for Ole against Pep. Maybe that will be the beginning of the second Ole reign. Twalumba Piri is disappointed by the game. Yeah, I get you, buddy. I feel the same. The quality-wise, yeah, we aren't there with the quality. And Trevor Wade also comes in and says disappointed as a number 8. I knew it was going to be the same old story, and I was proved right. Yeah. Raven Strip also comes in and say we played with a back 4. It wasn't any different. I get you, buddy, and yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, I think, but if you go to the tactical board, I will try to explain how I saw the game and what I felt we could have done better. So one of the biggest problem, especially in the beginning of the game, is we have 2 left-footed center backs. And when we are trying to play out from the back, Aiden Heaven don't have the right passing angle. If you look at him, if you have a left foot, it's not the best thing when you play on the right hand side. You tend to play the ball in this direction, and they overloaded. They crowded the place. It was really difficult. I think Cunha didn't have a good game. So again, I think we lost the ball a lot of the times trying to build out on the right. So we ended up playing to Dallo Heaven, back to Martinez, and we actually attacked most of our attacks on the left-hand side. So I would say maybe 40% on this side and 10% on this side, and the rest in the middle. So again, it's not ideal. And Fletcher, he subbed Lenny Yoro on in the second half, and I think that was one of the reasons. Another problem on the pitch was actually us being overloaded on our right-hand side. If you look at the possession and attacking stats for Burnley in that first half, this came up on the screen, and they attacked 60% of their attacks on the right-hand side. And for me, I'm not happy. It wasn't a good setup in a way, because when you look at the tactical board again, let me bring this up. Casemiro played more of a single pivot, and we had Bruno and Ugarte in front of him. And Casemiro, from his position, defended this area, and he was really reluctant going out on the wide channels, helping out. So every time Hannibal, Maidri, Pires, Florentino, all of this, they always created overloads. Cunha didn't track back, didn't do his job defensively, so he was easily played over. And Dallo was left on his own, and it ended up with Aiden Heaven having to stretch and defend the wide areas. and we had Casemiro, we had Bruno, we had Ugarte, we had Cunha, and we couldn't seem to find the right solution because of Burnley's overload on this side. I think the easiest solution would be to have Cunha doing more defensive work and Bruno pushing over and keep our centre back centrally, because then you have more control. Because Broja, is a big striker, and it's difficult if we want to always keep this defensive square, as I talk about a lot of the times with Ugarte, Casemiro, Heaven, and Martinez. I don't like when centre backs is forced wide. So for me, I think that was one of the biggest issues, and I think Fletcher should have solved it sooner. Should have solved it sooner. By the way, bath time. If you're around, I'm alone, so I'm just posting the link in the chat. So if you want to jump on, just jump on and join me. Big up Darius if you are around. I'm not going to do a long show, maybe 30 minutes max. We are just going to go through the highlights of the show, but it's always good to have someone. Yeah. Big up, Pat Time. Big up. Yeah. And another problem I saw in this game, I think, was just remove this. Cunha on the right and Dorgu on the left. I think, okay, Dorgu inverted a lot. He almost became a number 10 in this system, and Luke Shaw was high up the pitch. So the centre backs was stretched, and Casemiro was alone, and Ugarte and Bruno was wandering off from themselves. But Ugarte, I think, he had a good game today. But I think defensively it was a little bit open. It was a little bit wide. We could see Martinez a lot of the time on the ball. He didn't know quite what to do, but he solved the problems really well. But again, we didn't have any patterns, I feel, when we tried to build out. I agree, we can always play back to Lammens and play it over, like the link. But, it's always a chance to play inside your own 18-yard box. Luke Shaw was out a lot of the times. Dorgu was the out, but Dorgu and Walker, I think we tried to attack their right-hand side with Walker and Laurent, but they playing with the back three, they were always stable. If they drag their centre back out in this area, they still have two guys left defending the central. So again, I didn't feel we created an unbalance in the Burnley team by attacking on our left-hand side. So everything was really unbalanced today when you look at the right-hand side and the left-hand side. So I'm going to do a couple of comments and see what you guys are saying. Red Devil Radar, big up. Good to see you. Trevor Wade has an early start. Big up, Trev. Thank you for jumping on. Ravenstrip comes in to say Mainu killed the midfield and was very greedy. Well, you can clearly see that Kobe Mainu is not match fit. He takes too long on the ball, and I agree. But again, I think he has the potential, and we got to start somewhere. And I don't know what we could have done differently. Casemiro, he was poor today. I think it was one of the Casemiro's worst games. And then, when you're playing in a 4-3-3 kind of setup, you need to have a ball-playing central midfielder. You need to have a creative midfielder, a guy who can actually play the ball long. And that's not Casemiro's game. I was actually hoping that we can bring Jim Pitts in the team, because he's always been excellent for Fletcher in the under 18s. Big up, Darius. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Jarvis. Happy New Year to you and the Devilish Tacticos. Hope you enjoyed that one.
Yeah, big up, big up. I'm good. I'm good. Happy New Year to you too, buddy. But on the game tonight, how did you see the game, and are you really disappointed by the result, or is this as expected? Are we numb now by Man United? Because me personally, I feel a little bit, yeah, I'm not even angry. Us drawing against Burnley, it's almost like expected.
I think that, like, for myself, I can't speak for anyone else. I think today's game and the next 3, 4, 5 games are about returning to an identity that we see recognisable as a Manchester United football team. Width, directness in wide areas, an attacking approach, players with a bit of courage and character to try and do things. And so from that, I was relatively pleased with quite a lot of what I saw tonight. We know the player quality isn't great. We know the squad is very higgledy-piggledy. So when you've got, Ugarte and Casemiro trying to play with each other and stuff, you're always going to be a bit like, this isn't working. But I still think that we might do a lot better now than I was thinking at the beginning of the season. And Europa League should be the bare minimum. I think that other teams haven't hit consistency. We're up there, and the thing that I have to give a massive thank you to Amarin for, and this shouldn't be forgotten, is for the first time since Sir Alex Ferguson, that Manchester United team is of a physical fitness that is acceptable to the Premier League. We do not gas in games. We keep going, and we've restored our ability to score from set pieces and win second balls. And that is enough to get you in the Europa League.
Yeah. I actually agree with you. I think you're right when it comes to the physicality, and also when it comes to our set pieces, as you mentioned. We look strong on the corner kicks, and we have a lot of big players, especially with introducing Sesko into the squad. Now we have Aiden Heaven. Casemiro is always reliable when it comes to this, and you can see also we scored a goal that I don't know why the referee disallowed it, because it was clearly. Walker was clearly diving, and for me, when you look at it at VAR, you see the push, or if you can call it.
I agree with you. I agree with you, Jarvis. But what I don't want us to do is there's a reason I never really liked Neymar as a football player, because he needed the referee to help him win a game, and I would okay, fine, we get a bad call against us in the box. It happens in games. What we should be doing is looking at things like Heaven missing that open, missing a very easy chance. Sesko and Zirkzee crashing into each other like bumper cars all the time. I know it's easy to sort of focus on the refereeing, and stuff like that, but we're Manchester United Football Club, and we don't need referees to help us win games. We do it ourselves. So. That's what we can't control. What we can control is what's important, and that is whatever Martinez was doing. I tuned in tonight mainly to see what Stu was going to say on whatever Bilbo was up to in the box, and it's such a shame. I really like Aiden Heaven, but I do think he's got to go out of the team now. I think he's a little bit too young to sort of keep being put in these situations. You have to remember that not only is he a young defender, he's only been a defender for 2 or 3 years. He was a striker most of his time in the Arsenal academy, and he just got put further back. But you can see his technique to block the cross for the own goal. He's going in with the wrong foot. I felt that we improved a lot when he came off, because Lenny Yoro's got a right foot, and it worked better, I think, with Martinez. I think we were able to stretch the pitch a little bit more. So it's not a criticism on Heaven. It's just, I think that you could. I don't know if you picked up on this, but I saw a lot of the Burnley players were kicking him and digging him and things. And
you can say Hannibal all the time, running to pushing him. Yeah, he was clearly targeting. Heaven, 100%. Yeah.
So, and look, when you're sort of playing football and stuff, people, if they think you're an easy target, they go for you. If they think you're easy to wind up, they go for you. We were doing it to Hannibal as well. But I just think that Heaven, like now, he could just do with a game or two off, especially against City and things. And I've never been a fan of his, but I was very impressed with the use of Dorgu tonight. On British TV, Gary Neville was calling for Dorgu and Cunha to swap sides, but I felt that it was exactly the right thing to keep Dorgu basically pinning Kyle Walker back all game. I didn't want to see Walker running past Cunha, and I think Dorgu did pretty well. So a lot there to be happy about, but.
Yeah, but he wasn't forced to do any defensive work, as you saw from the stats. They were attacking 60% on their left hand side, and Dorgu was on the right hand side. The other way around. So I think he was comfortable where he was. He could wait for the ball, and he had energy to run with it every time he received the ball, and all of this. And I think, okay. Well, if you swap it around, I think maybe Cunha would have done more if he had that role, because I think Dorgu is better defensively, and you could clearly see us struggling on our right-hand side because of Cunha not doing the defensive work. We were constantly overloaded in the wide areas, and Cunha was played over time after time. And, for me, I think he looked, we talked about the Cunha walking stats, and for me, tonight, I think you could see it. Kind of feel like it's sometimes lazy.
Yeah, Cunha's annoyed me in the last couple of weeks. Like I was really annoyed with him in the last game where he was doing keepy uppies in the middle of the midfield, shooting all the time, not releasing the ball. Like he's new to the club. It's not a good situation to come into Manchester United at the moment. Everyone's fighting each other. There's not a great connection between the fans on the pitch and the fans in the stand and the players on the pitch. But if you're going to be a Manchester United player, you have to improve your game from where it was. Certainly if you come from Wolves. So with Cunha, I feel that there was a big change made in the second half where he was basically swapped with Bruno, and Cunha sort of came a little bit deeper. Now, Jarvis, I don't know what in the first half, did Burnley play with that narrow front three?
No, one of them drifted left all the time. They overloaded with three guys all the time against Dalot. And Heaven was forced to pull out into the wide areas, as how I saw it.
Well, what I found really interesting in the second half is that we did a couple of things that I really liked. One was making a back four against that three. That's when you should use a back four in possession, is when they've got three. But
you have plus one. Or plus two, exactly. If you count Lamens.
Yeah, he did again. He's all right, Lamens, isn't he? I think he's an average Premier League goalkeeper who just saves what he should, catches what he should. It's so nice to have for once instead of the clowns that we've had for a while. But I think that when Cunha went into the pivot in that and was sort of receiving behind the lines, I thought he saw a much more disciplined player. I think that he probably got a bit of a rocket at halftime because his performance in the first half it wasn't good enough. You've got Dalot and Heaven who have no relationship with each other. Heaven's played 15 games of senior men's football, and Cunha needs to be helping out so much more. So I would have dragged him myself for Mount, but Fletcher knows a lot more than I do, and I think that he really set us up to win that game in the second half, and I'm disappointed we didn't.
Yeah, but for me, I think when you have a player like Dorgu on the left-hand side, and we know he's a right winger, and we know that we struggle defensively on the right-hand side, we should have. I would have swapped him right away because I clearly saw that Dalot needed help and Heaven. So a little bit of poor in-game management, because for me, when you look at a game, you look at the first 10 minutes of the game, you know exactly what both managers have told the team and what to do. You can just look at the tendencies. I usually look at the one side and the other side, look where we are going, if we are going to attack on the left-hand side or on the right-hand side. You could clearly read the play, and by the first 10 minutes, I know what to look for the rest of the game. And for me, it was clear that the Burnley was trying to overload, trying to attack us on the left-hand side. And as a coach, I would have just plugged that hole right away and stopped it, because it's a little bit unnecessary conceding a goal like that. An own goal. Okay, it was unlucky, but we shouldn't have left us exposed like that.
Well, it's Casemiro really who is the big problem in that one. Like just switching off heaven with poor technique. I agree that when you've got a lot of pressure coming down one side, it's eventually going to lead to something, whether that's an individual error or really good play from the other team. I think that like Dorgu on the left was good and was fine, and it made the best use of him, which is basically running past someone like as an outlet. I felt he was good for releasing pressure on us, and I really rate Kyle Walker, and I don't want him high up the pitch, winning free kicks, running past people. So I think that was handled. But with the Cunha situation, players, I like, obviously you're a coach, so you're going to think that like, coaches solve problems. I think players solve problems. And when you've got players like Casemiro and Bruno in the team, I think they have to work with Cunha, Heaven and Delo and sort it out themselves.
Yeah, but if you are there, because as I said, we played almost like a 4-3-3, and when you have Casemiro as the single pivot, you don't want to vacate your area. The central area. That's the danger area, and that's not allowed. You're not allowed to go in the wide areas. That's just how the game is. So I never expected him to go out and actually do this job. It's other players who need to step up and see it, because he's just doing his job. So in a way, but he didn't have a good game either. So it's a combination of both.
Yeah, but I mean, I get it, but what I think we can agree on is that it was solved in the second half, and like I'm disappointed. We had so many chances to win that game. Like, I mean, and Shea Lacey, man, isn't it lovely to have a player coming through left-footed, no fear, just wonderful stuff.
It makes you wonder why Amorim didn't give him a chance. He's been training with the first team and been in the first team squad now for at least 7-8 games.
I mean, it's difficult to say, really, isn't it? I mean,
we've been crying out for offensive players, especially to put on in the dying minutes. We have had losses and draws and draws and draws and draws. So again, maybe Amorim was too stubborn.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I don't think you're playing Shea Lacey at wing back, are you? Like, I don't think.
Now I'm talking about the last 10 minutes, last 15 minutes. Give him more cameos. That's just where I am.
Yeah, I mean, I think that both of us would agree that one of the great things about Manchester United is that every year or every other year we have a young player that comes on for sort of 20 minutes and is like the star boy and is really exciting. We've seen it with like players like Greenwood and Garnacho and Rashford and stuff, and it's been missing. In fact, like he's just put all of it. No team's been put in jail by Amorim, but our players from Carrington have, and it was incredibly annoying. But yeah, like I'm really excited to sort of see Lacey. I hope that with Mbueno and Ahmad probably ahead of him in the queue, that he can that we can still sort of see him coming on, because he hit two really good shots, and we need goals. And he looks like he can score goals. Looks like he can be a problem. I've got no issues giving him an hour over the course of the season. Give him 6-10 minutes. Like, maybe start him at home in if we get some nice draws in the FA Cup. But yeah, we've got a player there that looks good. And it's nice.
Where do you think, just to finish off on Shea Lacey, do you think there's a place for him, because the pathway now to come in to play, let's say under Ole or Carrick, in a 4-2-3-1 formation on the right wing? We have Ahmad, we have Mbeumo, even Bruno. There are players who could play that role, and I think Shea Lacey is far behind in the pecking order. Is there a pathway for him in this Man United team, or should we use this January window just to lend him out to a Championship club or another Premier League club if someone is available and interested?
I keep him. I like a bit of competition, like in the team. And Bueno before the AFCON, he fell off the 3 or 4 games, didn't he? Like
He did.
Ahmad's always been a player that I've struggled.
He's been on
with.
fire for Ivory Coast now in the AFCON, by the way.
Yeah. Like, but it's what he does for us is what interests me. I mean, there's definitely a player there, but he's had such a sort of like delayed development with his career. He's far older than he should be. It's like 24 in the summer or something, and you still think he's like 18 or 19. I think that, like, you know, if you get Fletcher, who's a youth product, if you get Solskjaer, who's like obviously understands the DNA of the club, they're going to give youth players a chance. Like, he's going to be there every day in training, fighting for his spot. And I think that that's a good thing. And then maybe next season we think about loaning him out. But for now, I'd like to just keep him around. Yeah, keep him around, because it's like, it's good to have energy, hope, courage, all these things. And when Lacey comes on, he's not playing like someone who's devoid of confidence or something. He's like having goes from 30 yards against Premier League goalkeepers. So I'd like a little bit more of that in the squad, to be honest.
I full-heartedly agree with what you're saying, and I think you make a brilliant point. I want to show the, you know, at the end, I couldn't even believe my eyes, you know, cutting in like this, and the audacity to fire a smashing off a shot from, I don't know how far it was, but it's at least 30 yards, and he could have gone in. It was an excellent. There you see Shea Lacey. No fear at all. Bam.
Oh, I love it. Do you know what I love about it, Jarvis? Is it's like we saw beforehand that he tried the sort of, you know, the standard Robben Salah curler, and it hits the What I love about this is like Rooney against Arsenal for Everton, where he's gone near post. Like that, honestly, like, keeper, if you can go far post and the near post like that, you're going to scare keepers. And shout out to Daisy Delope for making the space for him there. I love a good channel run, me.
This is Dalot, by the way, dragging the defender with him. We talked about this Dalot's movement, and you know, I think it's not too bad. And in the last game against Leeds, he also had a couple of good moments when he opened up space for Dorgu. And
they look good together, didn't they?
Yeah, they do. So again, you know, I think you need to have the confidence coming in as a youngster and doing something like this. Could have ended well, you know. He could have been the hero forever, being a new Makeda or Januzaj or Rooney.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like Makeda, I think he did one thing in his career, and we all know who he is, and we all know what it was. Like, and like I don't know about you, but I felt ground down by Amrin. Like, just the bad vibes around the squad, the ridiculous comments and things. So to sort of see like a bit of attacking tonight, like to see some really good stuff from Sesko. Like, you know, he could have got 4 or 5 goals this evening, and I can't remember the last time we said that about Manchester United.
I don't know if you've seen the last couple of shows, because I think the consensus and the majority of the fan base have lost their patience in Sesko, and a lot of people have been criticizing him for not scoring the goals needed. But I've been consistent. I've been saying I see his movement, I see his instincts, and I always felt that we are close to seeing a Sesko, you know, starting to scoring goals, and I think we saw it today. And you know, the goals didn't come from nowhere. We saw the header in the beginning, but he also had some poor finishes. You know, especially one of them when was it Ugarte? No, Dorgu, who won the ball, and we had a transition, and he was one against the goalkeeper, and you know, it was a fizzling finish. You know, he just like passed the ball back to the goalkeeper. So again, you know,
they had 2 shots cleared off the line. Like, Dorgu produced a finish like Emil Heskey against Germany. But I didn't know he had it in him, and it cleared off the line. Cunha had a header cleared off the line. If those 2 go in, we're having a very different conversation about if Cunha should be on the right and Dorgu should be on the left.
Yeah, 100%. But mainly my thoughts on the game is we should have won it. We had 30 shots and we dominated Burnley in most of the game. But my criticism of this team is, we are constantly falling off, by dominating the game and switching off from nothing. And then when we scored the 2-1 goal, why did we let Burnley into the game? Why did we fell back? Why did we allow them to come into the game? And for me, it's why don't go for the kill? Why, when we go for 2-1, okay, guys, let's win this.
I agree, because when you're playing football, you sort of sniff momentum, don't you? You sniff when it's time to go. And I think that one of the problems we have with this team is our senior players in and around the squad, like Shaw, Bruno, Maguire. I'm positive they're all great professionals. I'm positive they all give good advice, but they're not leaders of men. And I think that what we could really do with is getting some on-field generals. I don't think that's Casemiro, but getting some experience in that squad that sees you through these moments, a difficult away game, a silly time. Get some experienced players on, a Johnny Evans, for example, in the back line to kind of sort things out, or
but we have Maguire on his way back, and we know Harry is a one of the leaders in this team. But
we just need some. I think it's leadership, Jarvis, in those situations, because the team's so unconfident. You can see that they're forcing things so much. Sesko, I agree with you. I think he's done all right in the last couple of games. He's just hit the bar or the post or something, and it's, for the spin of the ball, it's a good game or a bad game for him. And now we've scored some goals. You've sort of seen you've seen him and Dorgu growing in confidence. I think that if we can just manage our way in these games, stick in or spin, go for the kill, or just manage the state of the game, we'll be all right. There's a lot of potential here now.
100%. There's a lot of potential. Let's have a look at the disallowed goal, the corner kick. And I don't know what you took from this, but for me, as I said, I think Kyle Walker was filming. It was just, and Martinez, he didn't do much. And for me, VAR should have seen this. But I don't know if even that was the situation, because there was so much pulling and pushing from both teams. If you look at the referee, he has a good view of the situation, and he's standing here and he can see everything in this. And I don't understand why VAR is not intervening in situations like this, because I think it's a clear and obvious error in my mind.
It's about supporting the ref, isn't it? The ref's seen it. He's awarded it very, very late. And they're kind of backing him up. I don't really understand VAR and what it's for. We say it's for clear and obvious fouls. I don't know if that's ever been officially announced, or if that's something that we've all come up with individually. But the sooner it gets scrapped, the better, so that I can enjoy football again.
Yeah.
Every goal that goes in, waiting for someone to draw some lines or bring up some archaic rule from 1927 about subjective offsides, like Maguire away at Fulham. This shouldn't be part of football, and it should just be got rid of.
But I just feel when you look at Martinez, I know it's not the best pictures, but it's almost like Walker is just leaning into him, and it results that Martinez comes with his arms upon his shoulders, and then just Walker he basically just orchestrates this situation by himself, and it's so obvious when you look at it. And he doesn't even fall. He just sits down on his knees like an old man, and he's not even
he's bought a free kick. You have to ask yourself whether is Martinez doing too much there to allow him to do that. Has Martinez basically got played here? or is he giving Walker the opportunity to do it? And it's just it's very frustrating because it's all so silly and childish and school-like what's going on in the box. And I hate that VAR comes out and protects players and it encourages this behaviour. Like, they're meant to be grown men, like, fighting for their football clubs and fighting for the badge. And this is what we get instead.
But I'm very surprised because the referee disallowed the goal right away. He didn't allow it. He didn't wait. He didn't allow it to go to the VAR and let them check it first. He just disallowed the goal. So for me, I think he made a mistake also, because if you don't have if you don't know 100%, why don't you just let VAR check it and don't be in the limelight yourself and try to be the man. It's just my thoughts, because the ball was already out of play because we scored.
To be honest, Giles, I don't really like talking about refs. I don't know the rules of football like properly myself, and like at amateur level in this country, the way that like referees are treated is absolutely disgusting, and it's wrecking the ability to play amateur league football because refs are too scared to play. But he hasn't made a good call. But that doesn't mean that we can't win the football match, and it doesn't mean we don't have opportunities to win it after this. I just hope that the players got over this quickly and were able to, to carry on and go and win the football match.
Yeah. Big up Tyrone, good to see you. Evening, Jarvis Stories. He comes in, and Barman comes in and say, Jarvis, it's Man United. VAR and refs never favor us. and it makes you wonder, when you saw the Liverpool goal was allowed because of non-offside on the German guy. What's his name? the big flop against Fulham. So,
Wirtz.
Yeah, Wirtz. Yeah, did you see it?
I did see it, and it's just. I mean, I can remember when I was living in Spain. Real Madrid once put a picture out on the front page of La Marca of Dani Alves like playing someone on side during an El Clasico, and they'd actually photoshopped someone out of it. And I like with VAR, like I just feel that it's very easy for a guy there who's freeze framing it to make something onside and make something offside just by going forward one or two things. And for me, I think the solution is we put microchips in players' shoes in the boots, and we just and we can just have it in real time. And until we can get real time decisions, there's just no point doing this, because no one watches football to watch a bunch of people drawing lines on the pitch, tell them if they're allowed to celebrate or not. It's just a ridiculous system, and I hate it.
Yeah. But you can clearly see the tip of his shoe is inside, so it had to be offside.
Yeah, I don't understand how this isn't offside. But I mean, saying that, do you remember that game we played against Brighton where the final whistle went and then they had to start the game again for Bruno to take a penalty?
Yeah, 100%. I remember.
I want to scrap VAR. I think bad refereeing decisions are part of football, and we've lost leagues to the Cameo being offside, Drogba being offside. But can you imagine if we were in Barcelona when we win the treble? If there's 5 minutes of them investigating every single thing in the box, it's not football. It's not.
No, I agree. It's not. Let's go into the first goal, and I don't know what happened. Is it communication? Is where we are going wrong? But if you look at it at the first place, you can clearly see Burnley is overloading Dalot. We have 1, 2, 3 players, and Dalot is by himself. You can see he's waving his arms. Help me out, guys. I need help. And you have Cunha here just jogging. I don't know what Cunha is thinking, and you also have Casemiro, but he's reluctant to go out and defend the wide areas. So okay, Casemiro goes out to stop it, and they play the ball back again. But again, you are overloaded, and you can see also Aiden Heaven. He's on his way out there. So the ball comes back, but this is the thing. You see, both Casemiro and Dalot is flat-footed. They are caught.
And my boy Ugarte. Look at that. I mean, look how wide open the channel is. Look at Ugarte just watching it all.
Do you think Ugarte should go down here?
Yes, I do. I think what's going on here is Cunha is playing kid-on football here, where he is like, there's a Burnley chap, I'm not sure his name, but he's got yellow boots and he's got his hands in his pockets there. And Cunha has just been standing in his area pretending to do something.
This guy.
Yeah, that guy there. So if you take it back, I'm not too...
You see Cunha is like pretend.
Yeah, he's kidding. He's kidding. Like, if you take it back, what Casemiro does is pretty basic midfield play. Like if you go all the way back. So when you have like the distance between, I know you know this, Jarvis, but I always say this.
Yeah, please.
The distance between the fullback and the central defender is what the channel is. And as a midfielder, you've got to go and help with that channel. You've either got to go and block it or stop the pass inside, but you can't have spaces like that. So Casemiro has gone to fill in that channel, and Cunha
he's defending this area.
Yeah, Cunha should be helping out by blocking a pass inside so that we force them like on the line. But he's not. He's pretending to mark someone else, and Ugarte isn't really reacting to this. I know he's got a runner over his shoulder, but Shaw and Martinez are there. I think they can deal with it. And the thing is that like you have like sort of orders, like a hierarchy of priorities, and you've got to help that your teammates bail you out here. And what's happened is that Dalot's been sold up the creek because Casemiro has had to go and protect the channel. Cunha's like just jogging about, and Ugarte's not reactive enough. And this is what I mean about players solving problems on the pitch, is that they're all thinking what I should be doing rather than what the team should be doing. Or what the team needs here, for me.
But, you know, I said so right away. I'm in the Tactical Devils group chat with Stu and Mark and other people are there. And we talk about stuff like that. And after 5 minutes, I just said, Dalot needs help. We can't keep doing this. We need to plug that hole. And it was so blatantly clear for me so many times that we struggled because of this. They overloaded their left-hand side and we left Dalot out to dry, you know, by himself. And then, you know, he defended heroically a lot of times, but you can only do so much if you're left by yourself. And it affected Aiden Heaven's game. It affected Casemiro's game. So, what were they supposed to do actually?
You're looking at Cunha and Ugarte to sort of help out here.
Yes,
like. You know, like obviously you want like not so much formations, but you want shapes and stuff. But there are like sort of priorities that you have, which is like you want to force a player out wide, you want to keep the ball in places that aren't that dangerous, and you have to adapt in a football match. And this is what real footballers do: is that they don't sit there thinking, "Well, this is my job." Like, you know, I'm doing my job. Like, you know, you're not doing your job. That's not what a teammate is. A teammate is someone who will sort of help out, and then you have trust and confidence in the people around you to kind of bail you out of your mistakes. And Cunha and Ugarte are just not doing this, not filling in holes. They're not working hard enough, and it spreads throughout the team, and it annoys me. This is just one view. I'm sure other people have different ones, but I feel that like you've got Cunha and Ugarte basically hiding in these situations where it's not me, I shouldn't be doing this. Like, go and help your teammate. Like, go and help the team. Because this is, you can see, like, Heaven is a teenager who's you know, he's played Fortnite more than he's played professional football. Dalot is out there with 3 people around him. That is not what should be happening at the elite level of senior men's football. And these two just all watching it, like it's very frustrating to me.
Yeah. Agree. I just read in the comments from the Devilish Tacticos, and most of them agrees with you, Darius. And we're not happy with Cunha and his defending. One of his worst games so far. So let's just look at the rest of the attack. So they're both flat-footed, and at this moment, it looks like both Casemiro and Dalot thinks, okay, we solved it. We are in position, and they have to play the ball back into the central again and start over. But there is a big space in behind, and no one really knows why. It looks like me they don't understand. And is it Heaven who should be in this area now?
I don't think so. Because you want Heaven and Bilbao Martinez like close to that striker. I mean, for me, it's if I'm playing midfield here, it's Ugate's got to move across here to cover that space. Because I mean, look what he can see. He can see that there's a 3v2 space in behind, no pressure on the ball. Like, this is really not a good situation to be in. So go and cover that space, and if they're gonna and try and force them back so that they then hit a ball out wide and it's a 1v1 on the other side. But yeah, look at that, a simple channel run. If Ugarte is there to trap that channel run, and Heaven blocks with his right foot, we've got a 2-1 here. It's just a moment of idiocy from the team.
It's almost like everything happens in slow motion, and we still can't understand what's going on. Maybe this is why we're not, because we used to play with the back three, and there's always like a centre back pushing out in this area, and maybe it's just because we are suddenly playing with the back four and players not adapting to the new system. I don't know.
They played football all their lives at the highest level. Like there are basics in football. There are fundamentals, and like you talk to any defender, any defensive midfielder, a lot of that is down to the spaces between you and the players around you, like the distances. And here they're doing it.
They look in good shape. You know, they only have 2 attackers.
Yeah, like that's all really good if there's someone tracking that channel run. And you have to track the channel runs, and it's not up. Like, think of it this way: when Paul Scholes or Lampard or something like that scores a goal from deep, like arriving late in the box, it's not on the defender to track them; it's on the midfielder to track them. So this guy running through, you've got to be thinking it's a midfielder. Casemiro's out of the game, Dalot's out of the game. It's Ugate's got to be your man here, and once again he's just switched off and like ambled about and let people in. And you can see Martinez and Shaw are 1v1, Heaven too far out, terrible blocking, terrible block. Look at that.
Yeah.
And that's,
but it's also bad luck. You know, I think we are in control in this situation. It's not the worst situation to be in, but again, you know, it's
I don't think it's bad luck. I think he's gone with his wrong foot. Like, I think you're asking for problems if you're doing that.
This is what you get when you play with the left footer on the right hand side.
Yeah, this is why I think if Martinez is going to be one of the centre backs going forward, I'd much prefer to see Yoro in over Heaven, because Yoro just doesn't look quite Yoro doesn't look comfortable passing out on the right, and I felt that, you know, sort of building up was a little bit slow tonight. But this in particular, going in with your weak foot like that, I know it doesn't seem like much, but go through the Premier League and find me someone blocking across like that this weekend. Not a chance you're going to see it. But he's a young boy and he's going to make mistakes, and this is one of them.
Yeah, but I'm not super critical, because I think still he's a good defender, and you know, as you said, he's young. He has a lot of years to learn the game. You know, playing a centre back is not the easiest role in the world, and you don't see many young centre backs, you know, teenagers in the top European leagues. There's not many of them.
You've seen John Terry,
a handful.
Paolo Maldini like come in at a really good Champions League level, and that's about it. Like, Rio was allowed to mess about at West Ham in a relegation team, and then like have an awful couple of years at that horrible club Leeds, like learning sort of how to play European football before he was ready to come to Manchester United. Like, you can get people like Rooney at 16 doing crazy stuff up front, but with defenders, Like it's very, very different, and you can't be expecting a huge amount from teenagers like Yoro and Heaven going up against seasoned Premier League players who are grown men. Like which is why I can't wait for De Ligt and Maguire to get back in the team and just give them some weeks out, give them some time to recover and think about the art of defending, as it were.
Yeah. I want to go to the next chance, and I think this header from Sesko was a great header and brilliant cross, if you can call it a cross from Casemiro. And I think we pushed them back. You look how low they are. They have a back five and a back four, and the striker up top. So we really dominated them at times, and I think maybe Sesko should have deserved better on this chance. Brilliant cross. Look at him, how high he jumps, and that's a fantastic header. It's from that far away from the goal. There's not many players who can actually do this.
It's I love how he's like on the blind side of their number 5 throughout that. Like that number 5 is he's making it hard for him because the number 5 has to be looking where the ball is.
Yeah, that's Esteve.
Steve, yes,
yeah, Steve, yeah.
Who cleared off the line, I think, from Dorgu, but he can't see where Sesko is, and Sesko's distance is good because Steve can't put his hand out to check where Sesko is. He loses him, and then a header from the penalty spot is difficult.
Look how high he is
it's
up
incredible.
In the air. It looks surrealistic.
Yeah, it's just pure athleticism, and it's good stuff from Ugarte following that in. By the way, Dorgu and Sesko should have been doing more of that in the game. But it's a wonderful bit of skill, and I think that tonight what we've seen from Sesko is his hold-up play, whilst better than Rasmus, is he's trying to be a bit too slick with it, But what he is a real danger in the box with one-touch finishing, creating space, getting ahead of his man and things. And I would like to see him used like that. I don't really want him too involved in play. I want him pinning centre-backs in that manner and getting the service and having Bruno and Cunha and the rest of them deal with the stuff outside of the box. That man is a penalty box striker, and we've got to stop having him trying to do Cruyff turns with 3 men around him. Let's play to his strengths because he should have got 4, maybe 5 goals tonight, and that might come in another game.
But the thing with Sesko, and this is what I'm been talking about. We can look at the goal, the first goal, and how his movement. He's always constantly moving, and he's moving in the right areas. I saw Agile Beast saying you'll never see Højlund header like that, and it's also you will never see Højlund do movement like this. I love how he comes from one centre back, runs around him and come on the blind side of the other centre back. He makes it so difficult. It's so easy, but people don't understand. You have to just do it nonchalantly. You have to look uninterested. You have to do just jog in the right tempo. As soon as you set up the speed, the centre backs will be alert, and he's just casually just making all these runs all the time, always waiting for the right moment, and this is what I see, and I expect so much more for him. Yes, he can score more goals, but I think as his movement is top class. There's not many strikers who's doing it. Look at Gyökeres, for example, at Arsenal. He can do his diagonal runs, but not like this. Not like this.
Takes too many touches as well.
Yeah, but he don't have this instinct that Sesko have at the moment. So
yeah, it's. I remember what I loved about Cavani was Cavani used to cook a space. He used to leave it there simmering under heat, and then that's what he did. He would attack the space, and it's just crazy to me. Whereas Sesko's got something similar where he moves like a shark. He's demanding the ball with those runs into those areas, and then he goes again and he goes again. And I really, really like it, and it would be it would be nice if we could just keep feeding him in the box, because he will, like, you guys might not rate him on social media, but I swear to God, like, a night before a game, people would be worried about Sesko because he's got an athleticism that is superhuman with his jumping, his running, that massive frame he's got. Like, they'll be worried about him, and I'm quietly confident that Sesko is going to turn into an above average Premier League striker, like a Champions League level player. And I'm all here for it.
But we also have a lot to look forward to. And I think now if Ole comes in or Carrick, we will see Bruno in the 10 or the second striker role, feeding Sesko all the time. And, as today we saw him 8 shots off. That's an encouraging sign, as Agile Beast is saying. And I actually think that Sesko can go and score at least 10 more goals this season if Ole comes in. We play with the setup and Bruno higher up the pitch, because I think he needs those through balls. One guy who's creative, have the vision, who can actually feed him, because he's not getting any service from players like Mbeumo and Cunha. They are more individual players who looks for the chance themselves in a lot of this area. So I think it will be a better setup with Bruno in the 10 for Sesko. But let's look at this situation and how he moves, because I want you to have a look at Sesko, and Sesko is currently standing here on one of the 3 centre backs, and he curves his run all the way and comes like this, and I think it seems simple, but it's not. Because it comes on the blind side.
Yeah, in between 2 players, and
yes,
beautiful ball, and I love a good first touch finish for Jarvis.
One touch,
like, knows where the goal is, but yeah, it's like his movement is great. I can remember that he was sort of like zipping near post, going back post. You can see that he comes alive when the ball is in the box, and because of his physique and his power, he's probably able to get ahead of these players. Look at that. He sees, look at that. He's not only moving into the space, he's forcing the play here. Like, he's making it happen by that movement. And, I'll give Cunha some credit here, if that's Cunha. Cunha's stood in a position that has allowed Bruno just to get a bit of time and space to put his quality on the ball there. Yeah, like that guy is...
His centre-back has a choice to make, and he just needs to stand off.
Yeah, and I would like to think that Sesko has sort of recognised that and has somehow processed all of this information. But that's this is really good play. It's quality from Bruno Fernandes. Like, that pass is 100 times harder than that finish is. Like... but it's the finish that counts, and I love it. The pointing. Do you see that tiny gap in between them? The centre back can't go with him. They haven't passed it off correctly. It's such good stuff. Like, well done, Sesko.
Well done, Sesko, and well done, Bruno. We will look at it once more before we move on to the next goal. But so good.
Oh, that's
so
good.
And the one touch finish, how he, you see his little steps before he arrives to the ball, just to be in the right set, or so he have the ability to shoot on the first. I don't know if you see small steps just to.
Well, he does. What I love is he also gets a shove in there as he deaccelerates. Like, sort of, I know it sounds ridiculous, but slowing down is a really important part of football. Like, and steadying yourself. But if you just watch his arm as he slows down, he just bumps the defender just a little bit. Just there. Go on, Sesko. Off balance. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, like, I think that when you ask Stuart about that, he'll say that that's probably one of the most annoying things a striker can do to you, is just as you're turning, little push on the shoulder. It's great, and I'm so pleased that he's in amongst the goals now, because he's got, like, let's go on a run. Like, let's get Sesko on a run. Let's get Mbeumo back. Get Kobe hopefully a bit more match fit, and let's see what this team can do with Ollie.
Agree.
I'm excited.
I'm actually quite positive right now because I'm watching this. I know we are in a rebuild, and it's not the be all and end all if you don't get Champions League next season. I know from a financial point of view, yes, it's important, but I think we have a lot to build on when it comes to this. And
I think we've got a bit of a summer holiday, Jarvis, for the
Yeah.
for the rest of the season. And when like Ollie came in last time, there was like all these sort of problems he had to sort out, like fitness, the culture, like all that kind of stuff. And it was really good fun. Like it felt like the club was back. And I think that whilst the challenges are different now, like for example, he can't play Bruno the way he did when he first came in. Like you can't have a McFred doing the work of three men in the midfield now in the Premier League. Like Bruno's has to be much more disciplined and things like that. And it's really interesting to see what he's going to do with Mason Mount, because Sesko, Mount.
Yeah, but we could play a 4-4-1-1. This is what I'm thinking in my mind, or we go with the diamond.
Yeah. Yeah, we could do all sorts of things, but it's also kind of on which players respond, which is what I love about Ollie, is that, he'll have his favourites, and we'll think that Maguire, Bruno, Shaw are going to be like his boys. Like, he knows them, he trusts them, he likes them. But, he might fall in love with Dorgu. He might fall in love with Che Lacey. And I think that what Ollie does is he will look at the ingredients he's got and try and produce a meal, rather than like what someone like Amrin does, where he says, right, we're having bacon and eggs, and I've got mushrooms so they can be eggs, and like trying to fit square pegs in round holes is probably a better analogy. But I'm really excited to see what Ollie does with this team, because individually I think we've got a lot of very, very good players. It's that centre midfield pairing is what worries me the most. And I hope
right
Ollie...
now we are down to the bone, but I think Kobe Mainoo can play a part of this, because I think people expected the Fred McTominay thing, but I'm not. I think Mainoo will come in and be more of a playmaker type of midfielder, number 8, box to box, but also good on the ball. Because what we lack when you go with the setup like McTominay and Fred is you have no creativity deep. So it's easy for teams just to basically just sit off, because they play a mid block, because they know you can't transfer the ball from the mid half to the last third. And but if you have players like Kobe Mainoo, maybe he needs to work on his passing range.
It's true. You don't see him hitting the switch very often, do you?
No,
like you don't see him spreading the play like the way a Scholesy would or something. I think you make a good point, which is with McFred, we used to have to play around the block, like rather than through the block. And I think now we've got the players that should be able to play through the block. Like, I mean, I'm not his biggest fan, but who knows? Zirkzee might become the new Anthony Martial, sort of dropping in and things. I suspect Mount is probably more suited to that, but I think it's going to be really exciting, because we're going to try stuff. And Ollie was a lot. I personally think that Ollie was tactically pretty good compared to with how he's seen now. Like, we have a nice box midfield and things before it was popular, and I'm really excited. Actually, not quietly, I'm noisily excited to kind of get the team back. And the aim for the season should be that when we get into the summer, everyone is just really pleased with this team and these players, and we look forward to the games, and we know that we're going to see goals. We know we're going to see effort and people trying and courage on the pitch. And I think I've seen some of that tonight. I think Dorgu's been transformed. Like Delo, I think is quietly rebuilding himself a little bit. Martinez had a game that you would not think that someone who was out for a year would have a game like that. Shaw has quietly but confidently been getting himself ready for the World Cup. Like Sesko scoring. I think good times might be coming.
Yeah. When it comes to Ollie, I've been going back. I've been doing some study today and watching watching how Ole set up his teams. And we got to remember Ole's reign was almost 3 years, and people tend to only think black and white when it comes to this. And we played McFred, we had Bruno in the 10, and Martial dropping down in the number 9, and all of this. But there was so much more going on, and especially in these first couple of seasons. We played a lot with the diamond. We had Mata as the number 9, dropping into the midfield, wide attackers pushing in. He had some strange ideas, trying to get 2 creative midfielders into the system after we got Bruno, and we still had Pogba. But Pogba was injured a lot of the time, so we didn't get to see that side from Ole. Pogba was only available like 10 games his last season before.
He was like left wing, wasn't he, as well, a lot of the time?
Yeah, well, he wasn't left wing. He was, yes, on paper he was left wing, but he dropped down in the left side of the midfield and he played with the diamond.
Yeah, and then Shaw would be the one doing width. Like for me,
yes,
Shaw, Rashford, Martial is what was prime Ole. Like that combination. And that's what he did, is that he's not beholden to a system. And you've also got to remember, this isn't the same man that left United 4 or 5 years ago. Like, he will have dwelt on his mistakes. He would have looked at the problems he had turning his team from a sort of mid-block transition team into a pressing team. He'll have thought long and hard about it. He loves the club and he'll watch every game and so on. And he's like us, he's addicted to football. He's going to come back with fresh ideas, fresh enthusiasm, a completely different group of much fitter players to work with than the one that he inherited. And like, we might see all sorts of different things. I mean, I'd love to know who you would pick as the 2 central defenders if everyone is fit, because I think that's kind of where you've got to build the team from now.
If I had a chance, I would, and I see also we have some questions from Ravensrip coming in. I would actually try to go for someone in the under 21s. I would have tried to get Jim Thwaites into this team as the deep lying playmaker, because I think we need someone who can switch play from deep. And also, even today, you could see sometimes we have Casemiro has time on the ball, but he's not creative. He didn't do anything with the ball. He could only progress when Bruno
dropped to Sesko.
Yeah, but when Bruno dropped deep, then he can play the ball to Bruno, and Bruno can progress the ball. But this is when you lose out, when you don't have any creative midfielders who can pass the ball, and cross it and switch play and all of this. So I think we need someone like Jim Thwaites. If we only could bring in James Garner, I would be happy with him. But unfortunately, we are not buying anyone in January. So yeah, I understand the difficulties with the pivot, how it looks like now, because in an ideal world, we should play with a single pivot and 2 number 8s, and one of the number 8s should be high up the pitch and helping out the striker, sort of, and the two wingers should be inverted wingers, and ready to score goals, and it's up to the fullback to keep the width. And I think Luke Shaw and Dalot can actually do that, or Masraoui when he comes in, or even Ugarte.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, the thing is that we've got to make do with what we've got. Like, we don't have a player that is good enough to play in single pivot, and those players are like gold dust anyway. Like, you're looking at some of the best players in Europe for those positions. But for me, it's not so much the pivot that interests me. It's the centre backs, because if we play, let's say we do something a bit crazy and play Heaven and Yoro as the centre backs, right? Okay, sure, we can defend higher up the pitch. Like, they're good at recovering space in behind. They're good at, like, they're adequate at sort of dueling and things. But that means that we need players that are going to put a lot of pressure on the ball. And that probably means that we have to play Ugarte and maybe not play Kobe Mainoo, or maybe not play Casemiro. But if we play, like, say we play Martinez and De Ligt or something, we're going to have to defend a bit deeper. And that means that we're going to have much more of a sort of like a fast break. Like, we're going to have to be able to break lines quickly and stuff like that. And that's what I'm excited about, because I think that Ollie's... going to start with that.
I agree. But you know, the difficulties with football is, as you said, we don't have any creative midfielders. Maybe Kobe Mainoo can come in and do that job, maybe, but he needs to work on his passings. But if we can't progress the ball with the number 6, we have to just play it long and counter press and win the second ball up high.
Yeah,
maybe this is the solution. And now, as you talked about, we have much more fitness into this team. So maybe this is a solution for Ole, especially in the first phase. And if he keeps the job or we get someone else in who plays the same type of football, we just need to invest in the midfield, someone who can come in and do that job. Because we will be predictable after a while, just playing it long and trying to win the second ball. I don't know if you remember was it the Liverpool game when we did that with under Amorim, just playing it out to the number 10s, crowding a lot of people and winning the second balls. You know, it's simple, but it's really effective.
I thought you were going to talk about Fellaini and Rashford there.
But it's basically the same thing. It's the same principle.
Yeah. Well, like this is the thing, is that like a lot of the time when we talk about like breaking down low blocks and stuff, one of the reasons I feel this direct football has come into the Premier League is that one of the best ways of breaking down a low block is winning second balls around the in the attacking third. And if you want control in a football match, like people love talking about control, a large part of control is winning second balls. Like 20% of a football match
counter press
is exactly. So when you talk about someone like Jim Thaites or Shea Lacey, some of the reasons they might not be incorporated is because they're not physical enough, they're not seasoned enough to be able to sort of compete for these second balls. And one thing under Amorim that has always been consistent is that we were we were nearly the best team for winning second balls in the league. What we weren't good at was doing anything with winning those second balls. So I mean, I would like to think that this is what I'd like to happen, Jarvis, is I'd like Ollie to come in tomorrow, and we have feel good Ollie, he's back at the wheel, everything's great. And I'd like them to tell Ollie, we've got an agreement with whoever you want, Nagelsmann, Poch, Tuchel, whatever. They're coming in the summer. For those two to have a chat, and for Ollie to be given 2 clear directives. One is restore faith in the team with the fans and get that relationship with the Stretford end and all that back. But we're going to be focused on this particular part of football next season. And what we want our second ball game, we want our set pieces or whatever it is. We want this part of the system done and dusted when pre-season starts.
Yeah.
And that would be, because it's great, this kind of chaos that Ollie's going to bring, and we don't know the team and all these things, but it'd be so much better if there's a kind of plan for the summer in place. And I think that would be really, really exciting. Like that's what I'm hoping to see, is a real clear emphasis on one part of the game that we're lacking.
Yeah. But the thing is, people criticize Ollie for us playing counter-attacking football, transitional football. But if you know football, if you know the stats, I think it's
126
51 or 53% of all goals comes from transitions.
Yeah,
because this is because people got to realize, when you set up in the formation, it doesn't matter if it's a 5-3-2 or a 4-3-3 or a 3-4-3 or whatever, it doesn't matter, because most teams, when they defend and fall into their defensive block, they are hard to break down, because there's always enough men to cover the danger areas.
Yeah, unless Ugarte is playing.
And sometimes, a lot of people. Let me go back. Talk about Barcelona, for example. When you had when we had Van Gaal, for example, it was it was based on technical players stretching out the pitch, playing the ball from right to left, keeping the possession up until you had the ability to break down the team. But when Pep came in, he did something else, and this distinction is the counter press.
Yes,
because sometimes you have to lose the ball to get the opposition team out of balance. Because when you lose the ball, they see a chance to counter and something. And if you have enough men to win the ball high up the pitch, you suddenly have an opening. The low block is not there. And this is how you create a lot of goals. So I also see this because people criticize Bruno a lot because he loses the ball, but it's not always bad losing the ball high up the pitch if you're good at counter pressing. And I think we will see this with Ollie when he comes in. I think he will have developed this part of his game again.
I think that's a great point, because one of the things, like, okay, we'll hate Man City, but I admire and, I do enjoy seeing what City do. When De Bruyne, towards the end of his Man City career, was in those half spaces, that team set up for him to be able to lose the ball. Like, there was set up for the goal, but they were also, it was a planned moment, because you're completely correct that during counter press, things get disorganized. And when you win it back, you can go. But I think it also comes on to a sort of something that I've been thinking about today, actually, which I find interesting, is that there are teams like Barcelona and Ajax that have a really defined way of playing. And then there's Madrid, who is just about winning, and who, Jose turned them into the best counter-attacking team in Europe, and they built on that foundation to win 5 European Cups with Zidane. Yeah. And I feel that with United, we've become sort of too snobby about the type of goals that we score. Because they don't, look, if you have the best transition in the league, you're going to be in the top 3 teams. If you're the best at something, that is not a bad thing. And if Ollie comes back and we score loads of goals, I don't care how we score them, because the aim of the game is to score goals. And that's what that's what it should be about. It should be winning, glory, goals. And I don't like the reputation that Ollie has, to be honest, Jarvis. He's dismissed as a PE teacher when he did a lot of really good things, and he got the best out of that squad. And he failed when, we brought in Varane and Sancho and Ronaldo, and the squad makeup wasn't good enough to it wasn't good enough to go, and maybe some players let him down.
Yeah, but for me, it's clear as day, because as I said, I talk about the counter press, and if you don't have people who can move the ball from back to front, if you don't have those type of players, you have to rely on counter press, and you have to rely on winning second balls.
Yeah.
Well, when we brought in Ronaldo, I'm not giving all the blame to Ronaldo, but then we suddenly had a striker who didn't do the job needed, and we didn't even have the ability to play it long and win the second ball, or counter press and win the ball high up the pitch to score goals. So suddenly we didn't have the ability to play out from the back and dominate team, and we didn't have the ability to counter or win on the counter press. So obviously we lost, and and I think Ollie was too weak. He should have said no, because I think he saw the madness right away. But in a way, I think it was forced by us, the media, fans, the Glazers, all of them, to play Ronaldo. And obviously Ronaldo was one of our best players. He scored a lot of goals that season, but
yeah, I mean, the irony is,
didn't work.
We needed a 3-5-2 with Ronaldo. When Pep had David Silva,
and we
in
did the last win of Ollie, when we won against Spurs 3-0.
Yeah,
with Cavani, we played with Ronaldo and Cavani on top.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is that Ollie? I love Ollie because he's flexible, and he will try and find the solutions and stuff. And he lost his way at the end, and because of that, I don't really want him to get the permanent job.
No,
my heart definitely wants that. Give me a chance, and I'll marry Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. That's genuinely how much I love him. But I know I'm going to get swept away. If we win 3 games in a row, or if that bloke ever gets a haircut or whatever, it can be our bridesmaid. But the thing is that Ollie kind of had his chance, and I'm really looking forward to who the next managers are going to be. I would love it to be Poch, personally.
Okay.
It's just, I'll tell you why, on a slight digression. It's just based off this, is that when he was at Spurs, he had Dele Alli. And Dele Alli was unquestionably the best young player in Europe. I know he's a bit of a joke now, that he was unquestionably the best player in Europe. He'd come from MK Dons or something, and it was stunning. And then when Poch went to Chelsea, Cole Palmer became unquestionably the best player, like the best young player in the world or the best young player in the Premier League, and was absolutely sensational. Both of them have had huge fall-offs since Poch left. And I don't think that's a coincidence. And so I think that it would just be so lovely for United to get, with all these super kids we've got in the kindergarten, like Shea Lacey, JJ Gabriel. Wouldn't that be lovely to have a player like that come through? And I think Poch is the best way of getting that. And so those would be my reasons for getting Poch in, to be honest.
Ravenstrip is coming with something. Breaking news from ESPN. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer return confirmed by Manchester United as caretaker manager. Let me just get that checked out. Well, if that's true, I'm happy. It's a good night.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. I think we're all checking, aren't we?
See, it should be on top of X. I can't see anything, and I don't trust ESPN. I need to see Ornstein.
Yeah, or the club or something. I mean, I think that is probably a journalist pulling the gun early to try and get some credit. I think it's very likely to be Ollie. I don't think it would be announced at 10 to midnight. I think that you'll probably see that at lunchtime tomorrow, or maybe they might be saving it for after the City game or something in case we get a bad result.
Yeah. Well, I can't find anything, but maybe it's right. Ravenstrip is not one of those who just posting fake news and trying to get us, but it's not confirmed yet. That's all I can say. But it came out 15 minutes ago, so I will check. We probably know as soon as it's official, and the official announcement is Ornstein. He's the tier 1.
Yeah, it's him or the club that I believe. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe if Gary Neville announced it, that would be good. But I also think that it's very important to treat, if it is Ollie, I think it's very important to treat Michael Carrick with a bit of respect as well. Because he's gone in and interviewed for it, we believe, and Carrick is my favourite of the interim managers that we've had. Those, particularly that result away at Seville, where it was such a crazy team. Do you remember? He had Martial, Sancho, Ronaldo up front, McFred and Matic, and it worked. They all worked hard. They all did it. We went and got a waypoint stuff. I loved Carrick, and I think I think it's really sad that in some ways they're both competing for the same job.
No, but I think they will be as a team, and I think Ollie is very good working with other people. So I think this is.
I don't think Carrick will come in. I think if Ollie gets the job, that's the thing. I think Carrick is going to be the interim manager. That's what he wants. And after his time at Borough, at Middlesbrough, I don't think he wants to be a number 2 anymore. It'd be like asking McKenna to come in and be number 2 as well. I think it's one or the other, not both. Would you take a step down? I know it's United and it's a club you love, but I think when you've been a number 1, it's very difficult to be a number 2.
Well, it's hard to say, because I know they all have a emotional attachment, and they all work together. And I don't think Ollie was like the guy who was in charge in a way. I think they all had the saying when things when they took the team out and selected the team, and what tactics to play. I think both Carrick, McKenna, Phelan, I think all of them had a big part in this.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah,
but one of them was the boss, and that was Ollie. And
he was the boss. It
was his word that counts. And I think that when you've been a boss, it's difficult to go back to being an employee, is my point. And so I think if Ollie comes in, I don't think Carrick is coming in with him.
No, okay. Boxing says he will get Phelan and René Mullenstein in. Yeah, could be a good setup.
Maybe. I mean, it was like the team that Ollie was given was like the Blues Brothers or the Avengers or something. It was just a collection of random people thrown together. I would like to think that by now Ollie's assembled a backroom staff over, Besiktas or wherever he was, because they were all thrown in together and it all kind of worked. And Mike Phelan and Rene are very outspoken characters, and they're very sort of determined men and things, and it's not always the best. It doesn't always go well with players when you have like those kind of characters. Like, you got to remember that Amarin he was an absolute diva, and he's fallen out with Rashford and Kobe and Garnacho. They all hate him and stuff like that. So a gentler touch might be what's needed, and that is not Rene, and that's certainly not Mike Phelan.
No. Where's Phelan now? Is he in Australia or?
I think he's in the States doing a coaching school.
Okay.
He works with someone called Patrick McGuinness, I think. Mike Phelan Soccer Academy or something like that. But I mean, Big Mike will get on the plane like Mr. T to come back. No problems if they ask him.
But he had he worked together. I think Mark Dempsey was the guy who was with Ollie on with Molde, and he worked for Man United. So I think he was the only one that Ollie brought in from his own staff when he got the Man United job. The rest was picked by the club, I suspect.
Do you know who took to Turkey? Like, did anyone go with him?
I don't know if it was Mark Dempsey, but he's always been working with Mark Dempsey, as far as I know.
Do you know it was Dempsey with him at Cardiff? Is that where they met?
Yeah. He 100%.
Yeah, well, that would be good. It would be nice for Ollie to be allowed to bring in like a backroom staff of his own now, rather than sort of being given one. But it would also be nice with someone who's got a bit of clout and a bit of gravitas to be able to deal with Burada and Wilcox, because they're impressing no one at the moment. And like, Ollie can definitely stand up to those two.
Big up Raven coming in and say he's checking Fab's latest video to see if it's confirmed. But I don't think Fab knows, to be honest. I don't think Fab
didn't stop him when he announced that Ollie had been sacked, was it? Do you remember that, where he accidentally leaked the video? He made a pre-recorded video, Fabrizio, that Ollie had been sacked, and he accidentally released it before Ollie had been sacked.
Yeah. There was so much going on at that days. There was a sad time for me as a Norwegian. It was a strong emotional time for us as Man United fans, because this is what I don't want with Ollie coming in, because I know the Ollie out brigade is still active. I see them on YouTube, people not happy with Ollie, and they are disregarding his status as a legend for the club, as a player. And I don't like that. It's okay, you can call him a lousy coach and not a good coach and a PA teacher. I don't care, but don't stain his reign as Man United player. He won, was it 7 or 8 league titles? He won the Champions League. Scored the winner. Yeah,
he gave his life to the football club.
He did.
And it's. I have similar things with Gary Neville, where I think Gary Neville should be regarded like, he has the same amount of trophies that like Roy Keane does as captain and things. And whilst Gary is doing it a little bit to himself by just being Gary Neville, I don't like how we've kind of brought up this narrative on social media recently about how ex-players have become a problem, when they're no different to anyone here, except that they've played for the club 2,000-3,000 times. That's what I would like. That's what I talk about, the relationship between the fans in the stand and the players on the pitch, is that Ollie can kind of repair those things, and he can like sort of link us back to the past a little bit. But we've kind of got to do our job as well. And remember that Solskjaer bleeds Manchester United, that he does the best for the club. He was crying in his interview when he left. And regardless of if you think he's an idiot for playing McFred or whatever, he loves the club. He's given his life to the club, and he's made so many of us so happy that he's always got to be respected and loved for that, for me. And I just, I agree with you that there's a lot of people sharpening the blades because they all said how rubbish Ollie was, and he finished second and third. And then we had, Ten Hag and Amorim, and now there's a lot of Ollie revisionism going on, and they're ready to try and be right again. That's what worries me.
Yeah. Well, it could end well, but getting all the way back could end with a disaster. It could end with us, the players just throwing the season under the bus and just giving up. We know the morale of this Man United.
I'll take that risk, Jarvis. It's Ollie. He's back. Ollie's at the wheel again. Like, let's let the good times
I don't know
start.
if I can take the emotional, roller coaster, and only getting all the blame, and the players again throwing a manager under the bus, and they are capable. And I made a tweet yesterday about Kobbie Mainoo's back. I'm not trying to single out Kobbie Mainoo, but if there's any possibilities that he's faked an injury, not playing for Amorim, and now suddenly he's back, I think if it doesn't matter if they leak it or not to the press, but if there's any possibility, the club should never let him put on the jersey again, because I think that the days of player power should end. But it has nothing to do with Kobbie Mainoo or he's a young player or me, because I'm a big fan of it. I'm a big fan of him. But I think the principle is we need to stop this player power thing.
I think what's happened with Kobbie is that he's been allocated an injury because it was almost certain that he was going to Napoli on loan if Amorim sticked around. And the reason he's suddenly fit and available is because now that deal is completely off. Now Amorim is gone. And I think that's a very different situation to refusing to play for the club. Like, I think Zirkzee might be the same as well. Like, Zirkzee was almost certainly going to Roma, and now he might be like, actually, I can get in with Ollie. I can show what a player I am. But with Kobbie, I'm fairly sure it was that he was off to Napoli. Didn't want to risk getting an injury, which is, players do that all the time. It's not not a big issue. But I don't think that. I'd be devastated if Kobbie Mainoo refused to play for the club, because you're completely correct. You're out. Like, I think only Paul Scholes has done that and survived. Like, refused to play for the club. But no, I don't think Kobbie's done that. I think it was about the move to Napoli.
No, I don't think so. But I'm just venting it. I'm just saying it because I think we need to be consistent when it comes to this. We can't see through the fingers when it's players we like.
Well, I mean, Fergie did that. Can you imagine, like, bloody Eric Cantona booting, like, kung fu kicking a man on the pitch and stuff like that? You'd say, let's get rid of that guy straight away. But it's, you've got to manage people differently. And my only concern about Kobbie is there's just been a few things in the last 6 weeks, 8 weeks that I haven't liked. The free Kobbie stuff from his brother. I don't like players going on Instagram and liking posts that diss the manager and things. I hope that he's
because we are too old. We don't know how the kids today communicate. This is how they communicate.
Yeah, but these are public things. Like, in private, I've got no problems with Kobbie texting half the world saying that he hates Amorim, but doing it in public. They know what they're doing. Like, Garnacho used to reply to Mark Goldbridge on Twitter, and he knows what he's doing. Like, you're getting huge tension on the club in the worst way, and I just hope that Kobbie Mainoo hasn't kind of grown in his bitterness and seen his England place go away and is on this kind of vindictive thing. I want the old Kobbie Mainoo who scored the winner in the FA Cup final against treble winners back. That's what I want. Don't want any of this noise around him. Like, just be good at football. That's all we want.
Raven Strips comes in and say Thomas Tuchel and Glasner, the plan forward as for the manager at Manchester United, and Ole is awaiting green light. That's from his latest video. And also the confirmation came out that they will make a decision by the end of this week. So we will know more, and it will probably be announced maybe before or right after the FA Cup game. And
I want him on the pitch. Ollie coming out on the pitch. Oh, can you imagine? It would be beautiful. You are my Solskjaer ringing around the pitch. Ollie arms out like a Roman emperor. It's good times are back, Jarvis.
Did you hear the crowd today? The away crowd.
Yeah.
Yes.
Best fans in the country. It's so good. I always remember that game, Everton away, after the Ronaldo signing. No, I think we won it 1-0. And the entire away end was drunk with a cardboard cutout of Ronaldo, just singing Viva Ronaldo all match. Like it's when we've got like the fans and the club in concert, like almost literally with singing and stuff. But when everyone is happy and things, we can absolutely blow teams away just with our aura. And I can't wait for Ollie to restore that. It's gonna be so cool.
I like your optimism, and we can do this. We can do this. Let's just finish off with the two last goals, and big up Helge, by the way, and we can finish off the show. I'm not going to go too late. I know it's late for you guys, so there's a day tomorrow. So the game is still 1-1. We haven't seen the second Sesko goal. It's Dorgu on the wing again, doing brilliantly. I think he was really lively today. Dorgu is one of our best players, and I agree with what you said, Darius. But I think this finish, this is a real striker finish. This is like a Cavani type of finish. You are at the end of the cross. So again, look at his run.
Oh, you're so right about Cavani. He's cooking that space all that time he's there. Like, do you see the gap between the centre halves?
Yes.
He's that centre half, that number 12, doesn't know if he's going right. He doesn't know he's going left. He hasn't got his arms on him. He's absolutely helpless in this situation, and he's going to get mugged by Sesko here because Sesko. I don't know how these goals are scored, to be honest, Jarvis. I'm not a goal scorer, and it always amazes me. Like, how does he know to run there? How does Dorgu know to put it there? But he sees the space, he attacks it, and he applies a really good first time finish.
He feints a little bit to his right, and then sets in. Yeah. So.
Well, because I think the reason he does this is a striker once told me that when you sort of push off on that foot and then you push up on the other one, when the defender is running the other way, it kind of slows them down in the fact that they then try and sort of come across you to block you a little bit. And here, this sort of like the in-to-out movement absolutely sends this professional football player into Narnia. He has absolutely no idea where Sesko is, and it's brilliant. And well done to Patrick Dorgu, because his crossing is normally dreadful, but it's like a young Ryan Giggs here.
Yeah. What has he been eating lately? He looks like a new man.
And looks like Dennis the Menace. Yeah, like the British version.
It's a fake run by Sesko. Yeah, it's a fake run, and the crosser, opposite side. It's brilliant. Let's look at it in slow motion and just take it in.
That athleticism. That's what is so impressive about me, is it's the movement and stuff. Most people there are going to have to use their left foot and come across that. And look at this. It's like bloody Air Jordan or something. What he's doing here, it's unreal. The physical levels that this guy can hit. I'm so pleased we've got him over like Gyökeres, for example. Like this is freakish stuff that he can do in the box.
It's freakish. So, how many goals do you think he can score on the Ollie for the remainder of the season? How
many games have we got left?
Well, we have
about 16,
17 games.
He'll do well to get 10 goals.
I think he can get more.
I think he can get more as well. But what I would prefer is a goal every other game rather than goals in bunches. Like, I'd much prefer to see him go on a run where he's making the difference in games, just getting one goal rather than like a hat trick here and there. But this is he's from tonight. You think he's one of the best strikers in the Premier League, the amount of chances that he's getting and getting across his man and stuff. But I don't want to, overblow it because it's just one game. But if you can harness his intelligence, his understanding of space, and that athleticism, there's not a lot that can stop someone who's got all of those gifts. Like Haaland. Like if you can tie that physicality to movement, Jesus wept, it's over.
I even think he can do better than Haaland. Getting his experience and being better. A lot of strikers are at their best from, let's say, 27 to 31. I think then they are at the. Look at Lewandowski, for example. Cavani, there's another striker. They are at their peak. Ronaldo, when he left Man United and went into that Real Madrid team, scoring 50, 60 goals a season, even more. I
do just worry about injuries for him because he's really pushing the human body to the limit. And I think we've all seen those clips of him like controlling balls 6 feet off the ground as he's jumping and so on. Like I would like to see his minutes managed a little bit for stuff like that. Like tonight we kept him on for a hat trick and stuff, but it was very clear him and Zirkzee were clogging up the same space and so on. And maybe it might have been an idea to have like Zirkzee, I think probably would have worked better with Shea Lacey, for example. Like, tying up centre backs and then dropping the ball back for that little ruffian to come on and crash the crossbar and do all sorts of things. But very excited for Sesko. I've always liked him, and I'm glad that people are seeing just how crazy athletic he is. Like it's like Kai Havertz with like I don't know, it's a cross between Kai Havertz and Michael Jordan. What he's doing out there.
Kai Havertz is really good at finding space, seeing that space, and I think he has the same spatial awareness as Kai Havertz, and he has better sting when it comes to finishing. So if he only can get his confidence up, and I think he can score at least 10 goals, even as much as 15.
We'll see. I think from now to the end of the season, I'd be extremely pleased with a 10-goal return.
Yeah, it's that you can definitely say that's a successful first season for a player like Sesko. But what will the future bring? In 3 years' time, 4 years' time, if he's still around, I think we have a great potential, and I think it's even higher than players like, for example, Greenwood and Martial and all of these players. I think he has, because of his physicality. There's not many players out there like him.
It's what you sort of have to remember is that like there's been a real sort of decline in the quality of strikers because of things like they used to play in partnerships, they used to have twos and so on. And what we're kind of seeing now is we're seeing players like Ademola Lookman, Solanke, Ollie Watkins that are really kind of exploding a lot later in their careers than we thought. Like Ademola Lookman was at Fulham and Everton and stuff like this. Yeah, it took a long time for them to sort of develop. So we have to be really, really patient with £70 million strikers. But what you've seen from Sesko tonight is, and I always thought that Rasmus Højlund had a lot going for him. He never was able to harness stuff. Tonight, you've seen Sesko actually kind of harnessing a lot of things and scoring goals that other strikers in the Premier League are just not capable of. Like that outside of the toe finish from a near post cross is unreal. Like go and look at finishes and find one like that. It's unreal. And then you've got a header from the penalty spot where, it's not in the corner, but the keeper has to work for it. There is a base there that is extraordinary. And then the one-touch finish from Bruno, that's a killer. That knows where the goal is, pushes his man off in the bottom. There's a really good player there, and we've got to get him confident. and we've got to feed him. And if Ollie is coming in, I think both those things are going to happen, and I'm very excited.
Good question. How about Rasmus Højlund and Sesko up front? But I saw a question here. I just want to answer the question when it comes to Højlund. Yeah, it was from Tyrone. Is there a buyback clause in Højlund's contract? The short answer is no. There's no way, because he's on a seasonal loan. We have made a contract with Napoli. There's no recall in that contract. So it's a 1-year loan to Napoli, and they have an option to buy afterwards.
They have a compulsion to buy.
Yeah, not an obligation, but they have
They
have
do.
They
have an obligation, but it's only if they finish.
It depends on it's not straightforward. I think it's about the amount of games, and we have to.
It's if they finish Champions League, they have to buy him.
Yeah.
And they've already obviously, because my enduring love of McTominay, I watch a lot of Napoli. Although he hasn't been great, he's scored. They basically have put out several times that it's a done deal. They consider him their player already. It's unless someone from United really wants him, it's done.
Yeah, but at least there's no agreement that includes a recall. So we can't call him back. He's a Napoli player for this season, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Rashford is the one to really sort of question, I feel.
Okay. Do you think he will come back?
I think every manager in the world would love a little bit of time with Rashford, because he's got, he's got so many gifts. He's got everything you need to be a world-class player, apart from a brain and a heart. And they will all have that ego in them to think that they can make him that player. We're gonna, if we go to a system that uses wingers, we've got we've got a 70-80 million pound talent out on loan that we can just get in for free. I think that there's going to be hard conversations about that. And if it's Tuchel, for example, like Tuchel knows him from the England setup and stuff like that. I personally think that when he's gone, he's gone. Like the only player that I would bring back, the only two I'd bring back are Danny Welbeck, because I love Danny Welbeck, and Alvaro at Real Madrid, because he never got a chance.
Yeah.
The rest of them, Greenwood, McTominay, Garner, they all had their chance. Do you know what I mean? Like, they were all at the club, they were all given a chance. Alvaro never got one, and I think that it's important that we don't do this. I think we were paralysed at one point by the fear of what Paul Pogba was going to do at Real Madrid if he moved and stuff like that. And obviously, bizarrely, this ended up being McTominay, of all players, that ended up being like turning into an almost world-class player. But I think we've got to get rid of that fear, and we've got to look at clubs like City, who have sold Cole Palmer, Lavia, Morgan Rogers, and just understand that, like, it's not the players, it's the club. That's the important thing. Yeah. So I hope we don't bring Rashford back. But, there are going to be conversations with the permanent manager about Marcus Rashford and bringing him back, because the signs is that Barcelona aren't particularly blown away by him.
No. Well, I don't know how long his contract is right now. When is it expiring? We're talking 28 or 27?
Knowing Marcus Rashford, it's probably 27, because he would have assumed he would win the World Cup for England in 26, and it would put him in a really strong position to negotiate. Yeah.
But I agree with Tyrone. I'm done with Rashford personally. I don't want him back. I think what he produced the last couple of seasons, downing tools, and he didn't look bothered. It looks like the joy of football was gone. So
I don't think he'd get a good reception, to be honest, if he came back playing for an away team. Like, I think if Fred came back, standing ovation. Like, Van Persie got a round of applause for a goal. I think McTominay would get a good ovation if he came back to Old Trafford. Rashford, I don't think he would. I think he broke the covenant with the fans when he was banging on about having to catch 2 buses and things. Like, we've all taken 2 buses. So you have to in Manchester. You have to go to Piccadilly Gardens and then get a bus from there. Like, what are you going on about? But yeah, I think Rashford is it's very unfortunate, but I think he's almost turned into a sort of Michael Owen, where he doesn't really have a club anymore.
Hmm. You could be right. You could be right. I see Rashford in a club like Bayern Munich or something. I think he could have done well
Yeah,
there. Yeah, but
yeah.
not
I think
not
I,
back in England. I don't think he will get a. Not any team in England could be right for Marcus. You know, he's a Man United player, and
it was a Villa, and they loved him at Villa. Like they,
it was strange. It was strange. But by the way,
that's
2028. So he has a long time left on his contract. And I think his
Jesus.
wages is what's holding clubs back. You know, they don't want to pay him 300, 350 a week. Not quite sure what he's on at the moment, but
It's got to be. It's 250 plus, isn't it? If Bruno's on 330 or whatever, and Casemiro's on 300, you're looking at those wages, and
yeah.
no one pays that in football anymore.
No.
Like unless you mean Lamal or someone. Like
Mm.
ideally, I would love Rashford to have the time of his life in America and decide that he's going to go there and rebuild in America or something. And I'd love to get rid of him so he's not this distraction. But I know that whoever comes in is going to ring him and talk to him and things. It's going to be annoying, so I don't want him back.
Yeah. Aston Villa is made for Rashford. If they can make Champions League, he could go back there. But I think Aston Villa is struggling financially. Can they take on a player like Marcus Rashford at the current stage?
They're probably struggling financially because of Rashford. They went for broke, didn't they, in January with him, Marcus Asensio, some other player. They spent their budget for the summer to try and get in the Champions League, and then they absolutely bottled it against us, the worst Manchester United team ever, on the last day of the season, not to get in.
Yeah. And Shaw's last, Shaw, I think he's 27. His contract is out. Maguire's last 6 months, so things will happen, and a lot of high wages moving out. So
like I'm fine with Maguire on 150, 120 grand a week, like as a squad player. If they renew his contract, I think he's probably a good guy to have around the club, like and stuff like that. But these players have had their time. And it's we have to rebuild, and we have to rebuild in a certain style. And there should be a lot of thank yous for your service. You're always welcome back at the club. Here's a watch and a voucher for the mega store, and move on. But it should be. I think with Shaw and Maguire, less so with Shaw. But he did almost get his leg amputated playing for the club. But I think you should thank them for their service and see them as good friends, as it were. But yeah, it's time for them to move on.
Yeah, 100%. There's a question here coming in from Ravens. Lyle Foster, he played today. He came on for was it Brochard the last half an hour, and or did he start in the 10? I'm not quite sure, but he was quite lively. Nah, I don't think he's Man United level, but I have to be honest, I don't know enough about him. Do you know anything about? Do you have anything?
Not really. I distrust these kind of players that turn up on a televised game at home against United, and then you don't hear about them doing much for the rest of the season. I liked that guy that scored against us. He's called Jadon Anthony, isn't he?
Anthony. Yeah, he was good. He was good.
I like him. I like Edwards, even if he's a little bit slight for the Premier League, I feel. But they're good players. But
I like that. You have quick feet. I like quick feet. You're able to move on the pitch. But not in this system on the Ollie. I don't think he will be the right man.
I think you've got to do it, Jarvis, for 2 seasons, 3 seasons before you can come to Manchester United. It's like that boy Thiago is lighting the world up at Bournemouth at the moment. But we've seen this from players like Calvert-Lewin, Papa Cisse. We've seen all these. We've seen these one-season wonders, Dion Dublin, over the years. When they do it for 2 or 3 seasons.
Was an injury for Dion Dublin. So you got to be.
Yeah, I know.
His foot. He's
a good player, Dion, and he's got a great show on the telly. Homes Under the Hammer. But what I mean is, you'll always get these breakout players for a season or 2. But what they've got to show is consistency. and they've got to show that they can, that when they become a threat, that they can still do it. And then they've got to be able to deal with being at Manchester United. So, while Foster might be a great player.
So, talking about that, what about Baleba then?
I completely off him for those reasons.
Yeah.
I would prefer to sign the number 8 for Burnley tonight, Ugochukwu, or whatever he was called. I find very impressive. Like, I prefer to sign Amadou Onana. Obviously, you know how long I've been in love with Elliot Anderson for. It's been years now.
I know.
I'm still a bit iffy on Wharton because I think that's the end of Kobe Mainu if we sign Wharton. I'm not sure that those two can play even in a 3. But Baleba is right at the bottom because if you can't handle the pressure at Brighton, how you going to... I mean, like Van Dijk, he got denied his move. Mark Gay got denied his move. And like Van Dijk eventually went to Liverpool. But he still performed at an acceptable level, a great level for Southampton. Gay is still doing it for Crystal Palace. But Baleba, it puts me off because he was... I mean, even when he was signed at Brighton, they had to ship him out on loan straight away because he didn't settle in and he wasn't acclimatizing. And there's just too many doubts there for me to go and splash 100 million on that player. What do you think?
Well, when it comes to Baleba, there were some reports coming out from AFCON, his national camp. Someone saying that he struggled this season because of personal problems. Apparently some family tragedy, something, but I don't know the details. And as a young man, I can understand that sometimes you get overwhelmed and lose your focus. So it could be a reason for this. But should we gamble half of our summer budget on a player like Baleba? No, I don't feel like it. No, I don't. I think it would be too big of a gamble at our current stage. We can't keep signing these players on chance. We need to be 100% certain that they will come in and be good performing when they're coming in, and that's why Elliot Anderson is the perfect choice. But I think I'm sure the Forest will price him out 120 million, 150 million even. You know, I think it will be almost an impossible deal to do.
We need to get Champions League, Jarvis. Like, we need to get back in the money making. And when you look at the league at the moment, I know that traditionally in World Cup years the league is a bit weird, but the league is also absolutely crazy after big international tournaments because a lot of players like don't find rhythm until after January. You know, they have no preseason. If we're going to strike to become a Champions League team, it has to be in the summer. Like, I know people are really excited now about, you know, trying and going and getting a player, but you know, now we should be looking at the loan market and looking at Conor Gallagher's and people who are desperate to get to the World Cup and so on. But it's in the summer. I wouldn't be. I would like to think that if Elliot Anderson is available for 120 million in the summer, and we've seen players like Caicedo go for 110 and Rice for 105, we think, like, look, this is the price of a midfielder now, and we don't do what like PSG when they bought Neymar, they completely like redid the market, but they were also the beneficiary of that because now everyone had to pay that money after it. So if we're going to go and spend big on a midfielder, let's have it on our terms. Like, so if he's 120 million and we think he's the right guy, we'll make that money back in a season if we get in the Champions League.
It's true.
Like, I think that we should go and do it. And we've also had like a year and a half of Jim Ratcliffe rationing paper clips and firing everyone. So let's go and in the summer when we've got a manager in place and all that sort of stuff, let's go and give him a big centerpiece signing. And if it's 120 million on Elliot Anderson, or it's 100 million on Wharton, or if he wants Baleba, let's give it to him and let's give the manager the best opportunity right from the start to kick on and get us into the top. The
only problem is those mega signings seldomly hit on. You know, we talk about the German guy in Liverpool. What's his name? Florian
Yeah.
Wirtz. When you come with the price tag, we also just mentioned Pogba. When you come with the price tag, the expectations gets too big, and I think it strangles the players. It chokes them.
It does. But we need to do something, Jarvis, because I can't have Ugarte and Casemiro as the midfield anymore. Like we've got to get players in. So if you say, right, the choice is we spend 120 million on one player, or we go to France and buy 260 million midfielders, I'll probably actually go with the buy 260 million midfielders. But like one should work out or something.
Yeah, we have Ederson, we have Kuno, no, what's his name? Manu Kone, and there's other players that we've been linked to that we can get for a cheaper price. Yeah.
But I want to give our new manager a solution straight away. And so I want to give him a top player with great Premier League experience in the midfield. I don't want any of this sort of, he hasn't been backed, he hasn't got what he wanted. Every manager when they come in deserves to have a centerpiece signing that maybe you pay a little bit more than you'd like to. Anthony in some ways was this for Ten Hag. And, I want the new manager to come in. He knows what the problems are. He should know that the midfield is a big problem. And maybe, we get that player in, and maybe we have to save a little bit on getting not quite the centre half that we want, or not quite the left winger that we want. But let's go and sort of make a statement. Let's go and get the best young midfielder in England. And go from there.
But my only worry if we do that, because I know the funds are limited, and if we bring in one big player, we can't, and he won't kick on because we lack other pieces, and I think we need to have a full jigsaw, and all the pieces for it to work. Even though it's good at Nottingham Forest, I feel we could end up being in that Pogba situation again, and we need to try to bring in players to accommodate him to get him to work. And that's why I would much rather go for players like Garner. I would go for a player like Sander Berge. I think he's fantastic. But I mentioned,
I understand.
The profile of type of players who's Premier League experienced, don't have to score a lot of goals or be in the what do you call it, in the newspaper every day, for being brilliant. And everybody don't have to like him, but he needs to be effective. He needs to put in a 7 out of 10 performance every game, be reliable, 6.5. Someone that we can build on, because I think we are not at the stage where we can sign 150 million players. I think we need to sign a lot of 30, 40, 50 million players and see who works.
I think that is probably the sensible, pragmatic approach, and it's probably. I think that, all things considered, it's the right one. I want best in class, exciting midfielder.
I would like to sign Tonali or Barella, and there's other players.
But I think that what you have to look at is that when it comes to the summer, we'll know a lot more about this team, in terms of the sort of formation and things like that. And I'm of the opinion that we've got enough foundations in place to be able to make to build an annex and make it really nice, get a conservatory in. But you're 100% correct, is that if we have a decent first team but a weak squad, we're gonna we have to build the squad.
We can't compete in Europe and the Premier League at the same time with just the starting 11. We need to have squad depth. We need to have a lot of 6 to 7 out of 10 players playing every game.
The aim should be that next season we're not nailed on, but the target is to qualify for Europe and for the Champions League, and the signings have to be what supports that ambition. So. If the new manager or if the football infrastructure say, look, we've got a problem at 4 positions and we don't have enough cover for another 2, then we can't go and spend 200 million on 3 players again. We've got to go and get 40 million players. I don't know, you've got to go to Crystal Palace and not get Wharton. You've got to get Mitchell or something at left back. You know, like we have no idea where, for example, someone like Lemons might be at the end of the season. He's still very young. He's still coming into the league. We don't know if his confidence is going to be shot. We don't know where Heaven's going to be. We don't know how well Licha Martinez is going to hold up. There's lots of difficult things. So you're right that we have to sort of build the foundations with the aim of being a Champions League squad. But if they think that squad and the youth players can sort of cover, a bit like O'Shea and Wes Brown things, if like we can fill in a couple of gaps from our academy, then I would love us to get in a sort of a centerpiece signing, as it were. But whatever happens, we have to spend £120 million on the midfield this summer.
Yeah,
that I think we can agree on.
Yeah, 100%. And there are so many gems out there, you know. But it depends what we want. Do we want a playmaker? Do we want a passer of the ball? Do we want a ball winner? Do we want?
Yeah,
there's so much, and you know, I don't want players from Spain or Italy or
Premier League,
German league. I want Premier League proven players that we know will work, and that's why I'm fixated on Garner and Thunderbirds and players like that.
Yeah, I think
Water will be too expensive. I think even Baleba is maybe too expensive. I know Brighton is a hard bargain. They are a hard bargain, and I think Elliot Anderson is way too expensive for us at the moment. It will cost.
If you gave me Amadou Onana, James Garner, and Sander Birch, I would consider that to be one of the best transfer windows we've had in 15 years. Because what we normally do is just go and buy a superstar. We spunk everything on a forward for 70 or 80 million, and they never work out, like Di Marias and Falcaos and Sanchos and Antonys and so on. But I would like to think that we spent a huge amount of money on the attack this summer. The plan is to now spend a huge amount of money on the midfield, and the coming summer, like in 2 years, is spend a huge amount of money on the defence.
Yeah,
like I would be, if that is Ineos' strategy, I can get behind that. But I also think that before you do anything, you've got to sort out what your defence is going to be doing. So if you want to play really, really high, like Villa do or like Liverpool did in the past, you need 3 absolute workhorses in the midfield. And so there's got to be a plan for it. And sometimes I think that at our club, there's never any joined up thinking. There's no sort of long-term plan for what the team should look like. And we will just go and get Baleba for no reason other than Wilcox quite likes him. Or, you know, Barada has been likes his agent or something. Even Vel we've got in, he's signed Sesko 3 times for 3 different clubs now.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so just as long as we spend 120 million or on the midfield and then maybe get a 40 million centre back or something, I'd be very, very happy. So yeah, I think that your solution is obviously by far the best one. But I really like Elliot Anderson, and I have done for 2.5 years.
I know. But he's a brilliant player, and you were right all the time. I didn't rate him that much, you know, at Newcastle because I didn't see much of him. I agree so much. Jonathan comes in, big up. Thank you so much for the super chat, Jonathan. Lilienberg coming in as 20 Swedish kroners coming in with a super chat saying, "Let's get the Glazers out. Skip the transfers. I don't care." And in a way, I agree because I'm so sick of these owners. I'm so sick of Ineos at the moment. I'm so sick of the Glazers. I don't think we have the best in class. You know, I don't trust Wilcox. I don't trust Barada. You know, Vivell, his track record is not the best. You know, he's falling out with a lot of clubs. And is United the right club for him? You know, we are not Leipzig. We are Man United. So again, is he the right man? And also you have the hand of Sir Jim Ratcliffe over us all the time, and then you know he's doing his things, you know, and he talks about chemistry. And also, when I think about what happened with Dan Ashworth, I think the Dan Ashworth thing was dreadful, because I think he had the most sensible solution when Ten Hag was sacked. He fought for an interim for the rest of the season and give ourselves a little bit of time to reassess and evaluate where we would go next. Well, Omar Barada, he forced this Ruben Amorim thing on us, and it was all but a dream. It would never work with Man United. We never had the money to invest to play a 3-4-3 formation. So, and Wilcox, he agreed with Barada, and suddenly we hear Sir Jim Ratcliffe coming out in interviews saying it was about chemistry, but we all know that it was bullshit. He wasn't a yes man, and I think that was the biggest problem. And
you're never going to get me to say anything nice about Dan Ashworth, Jarvis. I'm sure you know my history with him.
Well, but it doesn't matter. He had the best solution at the time.
I think what's happened with Wilcox and Barada is that it's like Mean Girls or something, where like Jim Radcliffe is he's head girl, and these two are sort of sucking up to him and throwing people under the bus and so on. And like, Barada, just because he came from City doesn't mean that he's brilliant. And I personally think that he should go with Amorim out the door, like, because he was the one that went over everyone's head. He was the one who came and got him in. Amorim, he should have known these problems, that you can't play 3-4-3 whatever at United. We don't have the players for it. Like, maybe we can get you some players eventually, but you've got to play 4-3-3 for now if you want the job. And I'm not over the moon with them all. I remember when there was a guy called Blanc there. I liked him. I liked Bicycle Man, who was there for a while. And so Dave, thank you. The bike boy.
Don't you, Dave?
Yeah, no, I liked him because he's a cheat. Like, he understands. Like, I mean, marginal gains is just basically cheating. Is how can we bend the laws? How can we push things a little bit further? I like that. Players like that kind of stuff. But for me, this is my one concern about Ollie, is I'd love Ollie to basically become director of football or something like that. But the problem is, if you have Ollie at the club, he's always breathing down the neck of the manager, because everyone would just love him to come in and stuff. And I think that Wilcox is... I think that Ollie will probably end up redeeming Wilcox, but Wilcox should feel the heat on him at the moment, and Barada should be sacked. Because
both of them. I think Wilcox and Barada are incompetent. They don't know what they're doing. Running Man United is a different beast, and you got to think of it sensibly, because being the director of football, you are the guy who have the overall direction and leadership for all football related operations at the club. It's a big club, Man United, and we have a bloated squad. We know that, or staff, and even though we sacked half of them, still there's a lot to do as the director of football. And you have player recruitments, you have to take care of transfers, hiring all the key staff, appointing coaches and technical staff and scouts and supporting roles in all of this. And we are a big club, and you have to do your job and have the oversight of all the departments all the time, the data analytics department, all of this. And if you have the time as the director of football to go and have the audacity to tell the manager how to play football, you don't do your job correctly, because you don't have the time to do that, especially at the club of Man United. Look at Andrea Berta and even what's his Ederson, or what's his name, who was his the guy who used to be the DOF at Arsenal before.
Edu,
yes. And right, Liverpool, they had Edwards, or what's his name, Martin Edwards, I believe.
Yeah.
You have professional people. You never hear about them, but you see the club is running tightly. Everything is working, and every time something is happening, you never hear about it in the news. But they are running the club a tight ship.
Well, for me, Jarvis, when I look at Wilcox and all of his responsibilities and stuff, I've always thought that in some ways, Ferguson and Wenger were basically directors of football at Manchester United and Arsenal. And, you know, Fergie would kind of, in a lot of ways, he would bring in Carlos Queiroses and McLarens and stuff to coach his ideas and things. And, you know, like it's sort of more than a manager. And we've given all of that power to Jason Wilcox, who I don't think he's earned it. I think he's bought himself a bit of time, because the last time he went and told a manager how to play football, we won the FA Cup. And I think that is something that, like, Ratcliffe will be hanging on to, is that people seem to forget that after the takeover, we won the FA Cup. Ineos have delivered the trophy in some ways. That's what Wilcox will be saying. Yeah. Like, I came in, I told Ten Hag what to do. We beat the treble winners in the FA Cup final with 2 youth academy graduates scoring the goals. Like, and so that is what's given him the ability to go and tell Amorim how to play football. Essentially, that's where his power has come from.
Then he should never had hired him in the first place, because he made the wrong decision. And this is where I feel like the director of football is incompetent. I think they are muppets, to be honest. I don't like how the club is run. And Ineos, Glazers, you know, it's for me now, it's the same. It's the same. I don't have any respect for them.
Just trust in Ollie and hope that somehow he can sort of guide us through this, because it's all well and good saying Glazers out, Ineos out, and stuff like that. Unless we can come up with a plan to get them out, there's nothing we can really do. So cancel your subscriptions to MUTV, don't buy anything, write to sponsors, make a boycott and divestment list or something, and see how we get on. But unfortunately, this is the situation that we're stuck with, and the best that we can do as fans is get behind Ollie, or if it is Ollie, the team, and all these things, and sort of like and try and show these people how to support the club, and not have just this nonsense. I know it's so difficult and it's so easy to say, but we're just powerless in all of this. And it's
we are, but you know, it worries me, but that they don't have the competence, and it worries me that they are learning on the job at the big club as Man United. If we were serious, if Sir Jim was serious, not penny pinching everything, you know, we would have hired Andrea Berta or someone, you know, the what's the name of the guy of PSG, Campos, or what's his name? We should have hired someone who knows what he's doing, who's done this.
The guy at PSG. The guy, you know, the guy at PSG is the guy that broke Enrique's nose in the World Cup, like their sporting director. I've always found that funny. It's Leonardo, isn't it? That's his name. Do you remember he elbowed him?
He did.
Yeah, that's his manager now.
Leonardo. Yeah, Leonardo. But isn't it Campos? Isn't that his name? The director of football?
Maybe they've changed it. But the thing is, look, they've got a state behind them. They've got Qatari money coming in. They've got no one in their league like to sort of challenge them. It's a very different situation. You look at City, and when they came in, and I'm not sure if Sven was appointed by the City group or if that was from the Thai Prime Minister or something. But it took quite a long time for them to get things ready. You see the absolute disaster that's happened at Newcastle United with Amanda Staveley and things. Like it's very, very difficult, because these guys might be competent, but you have to be more than competent in the Premier League, because the money, the resources, the talent that's there, it's very, very difficult. So if at the moment the plan is to get into the Champions League and to build a new stadium, to renovate, to bring in more cash and stuff, I can get behind that, because that's a start. We need to bring the debt down, make it more serviceable, and be able to make mistakes in the transfer market and so on. And from there, we can go on. And if that is what their plan is at the moment, which I think it is, it's not the worst in the world. It's just they're acting like teenage girls about managers and things like that. And I think they like the attention and the power and the prestige a bit too much. And I would hope that Ratcliffe has seen enough chances in his life to know that Wilcox and Barada are not what they are presenting themselves to be. and that we need more grounded people. We need more boring people, to be honest. We need accountants in. Yeah. Shout out to any accountants.
Big up to the accountants.
Yeah, man.
But I think you make a brilliant point. But for me, I think the job as director of football is a big job. I think it's probably the biggest job in the world of director of football, running Man United, especially at the current state.
Do you think it's too much? Like, do you think there's too much power concentrated in one man? It should be split.
You might be right. Maybe we should have like a council of directors. Of
football, the High Council of football. Like, like that's what we used to have with like Bobby Charlton and people. Like, that's why Jose wasn't appointed originally, because Bobby Charlton blocked it at the board. I would, because we're so commercial, right? We're like, we're the Coca-Cola, the Harley Davidsons of football. Like, we're a huge brand. We've got a huge youth academy that is world renowned and has been since like the 1950s. I think that like this too much is too big, and if you concentrate power in just one person, you're making the same mistakes that we've done with our managers, where we've concentrated too much financial resources into, say, Erik ten Hag, like spending 660 million. Because if that one guy isn't good enough, if that one guy isn't good enough, so much is wasted and you have to start again. So it's not only a rebuild of the playing squad, we've got to rebuild that boardroom, Jarvis. We've got to get the best in class in. These guys can't hack it.
Tyrone comes in and says, why didn't Wilcox tell Amorim what to do before the final with Spurs then? He can go. Can't keep living off that FA Cup. So yeah, that's a good point. Why didn't he tell Amorim what to do?
He probably did, but he didn't tell anyone that he did because we didn't win it. He said, don't play Garnacho. Like, who knows? We only know that like Ten Hag was forced to change the system because we got some good results. Then we won the FA Cup. Like, it should never have come out.
But my only problem is we have Sir Jim Ratcliffe, and I think he have too much power over the footballing director, and I think he intervenes too much. And I think Wilcox and Berada is yes men. I think they love to kiss his ass, to say it blunt.
Game of Thrones?
Yes, yeah.
They remind me of Varys and Littlefinger from Game of Thrones, where what you want is Jim Ratcliffe acts like the king he's a minority owner, for one thing.
He sits on the throne, yeah.
Yeah, he sits on the throne. He has this court of people. Some of them are in favour, some of them aren't in favour. And it's just it's like a bunch of schoolgirls, what they're doing. It doesn't feel like a proper business. It feels like a medieval kingdom. And like Amorim's just, off with his head. Let's get Ollie in, the jester, and so on. It doesn't, I know what you mean. It feels so parochial, what we're doing, and not like a big business or like a proper football institution.
But it also worries me when you look at Sir Jim and how he has built his empire. It's about downsizing everything and penny pinch and all of this. And it's okay in business. I think you can do the Pareto rule is valid when it comes to business. The 80-20 rule and stuff like that. But not in football. I think you need a bigger squad. You can't have 20% of the player doing 80% of the job for a full season, competing on all fronts. It's not possible.
It's ridiculous.
And I think this is where a man like Sir Jim Ratcliffe doesn't understand football. Doesn't understand the difficulties doing stuff like that. And players will burn out, injuries will come.
I don't think he would say he understands football. I think the problem with Ratcliffe is that Ineos have taken over on average, they've taken over 2 businesses a year for over 25 years. They've stripped them down, they've made them profitable by following common sense business practices and kind of like putting pressure on the government, doing over their workers a little bit. Like, they're not, they're very grey in how they operate. But I think the thing is because of that, Ratcliffe has been introduced to top people at the top level, like racing car drivers. He's met all these. No one's ever told him no. or everyone's always indulged what he thinks is the problem for me. And I think that he thinks that he can come in, like, sort out the business side, and he probably can. Like, we probably do need to reduce costs and things like that on the business side. You know, there probably are efficiency savings that we need to make because of this enormous debt that is straddled on us. So I think that's, as unfortunate as it is, it's horrible to hear that, you know, only the players get free meals now. That's all stuff that isn't Manchester United. But,
soup and bread.
Yeah, that might be the case. But the issue for me is that I think that he is like, he's Britain's richest ever man. In the entire history of the country, he's the richest man ever. No one's given him the actual straight truth for 30 years or whatever. And so you get these sort of Machiavellian people like Wilcox whispering like Varese in his ear, not telling him the truth, indulging the ego and so on. And I really hope that Ollie's the one that is going to not expose all these things, but Ollie can speak to him because he knows who Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is.
I think Ollie can make it work. You know, just by cooperating with them and you know, talking with them. And I don't think they are people that you can set in their place, you know, by force, because then they will show their power. They will bring the sword. But
only Fergie
Ollie is more political. I think he's smarter than this.
Yeah. I hope so as well. But I think like Fergie is probably the only one that can really come and just say it how it is. And Fergie is not going to do that.
It's Gandalf the Grey now. You know, he don't have the power yet. It's not Gandalf the White.
Well, Gandalf, or Olorin, as his Maya name is, certainly did have the power. But that is a Lord of the Rings very nerdy thing. But I'll let it go, Jarvis. I'll just let that one slide by as they sail off to Valinor. But yeah, I understand. I understand what you mean.
Okay.
But what I think is, would you say this, though? This is my issue with these guys, is I think Ratcliffe has the right reasons at heart. I don't think Barada and Wilcox have the right reasons at heart. I think they're in it for ego and power rather than the club, and that is what really, really worries me. But getting Ollie in, who would crawl over broken glass to like manage the reserve team or something, he'd do anything for United. Getting another person in who is got the right feelings at heart is a step in the right direction.
Yep.
And that's what fills me with a bit of optimism.
Well, I'm not as optimistic as you are. I don't feel that Sir Jim has good intentions, or at least I don't know his intentions. And maybe it's not. He's just doing it for money. There is a possibility he's just doing this for money and fame. Fame
and power, absolutely. Money. No one goes into football to make money that isn't a football agent. It's the easiest way to lose money in the world. But power. You're completely correct, because apparently the Glazers, one of the reasons that some of them didn't want to sell is that they couldn't believe the treatment they got at the World Cup in Qatar, where they were they were running around with Mohammed bin Salman and Putin and things like this, and it was just they felt like the prettiest girls at the dance. And there might be an element of that with Jim Ratcliffe.
But the thing is, I feel like sometimes when I think of Sir Jim, my speculations, but he feels like the Mad King, you know, in a way, and he's getting older, and he just want to set his stamp on the world before he goes, in a way. And this is
kind of agree.
Why he gets maybe going by Man United. So it could, and this is why I don't think he's 100% in it with good intentions. I'm skeptical.
He wants United to win the Champions League, have a great new stadium, be the biggest club in the world, all these things. Regardless of why he wants that, that's what he wants, and that's what he's driving for. And that sits okay with me. Like, I prefer that than, for example, maybe some of what the Gulf states' intentions are in football and so on. Like, and I don't have the intellect to discuss like geopolitics and things like that, but there are different reasons for it. I think you're right that what Ratcliffe is about is that he is coming to the end of his life, and a bit like a salmon, who, you know, goes out to sea and then it comes back to die in a specific place. Like Ratcliffe wants to be remembered, like for generations, not as this kind of plutocratic, polluting billionaire, but as the man who got Manchester United back. And whilst that is an egotistical, like very pride-driven intention, that how he gets there is what we all want, which is getting Manchester United back to where we were in the 90s and the 2000s. And so it sits okay with me. The problem is, though, Jarvis, is he okayed a 3-5-2, a 3-4-3 manager that doesn't play the youth. He's firing people. He's not doing it the right way. And he's got these horrible people in the club like Wilcox and stuff who are just abusing their power like their assistant headmaster or something, who just loves punishing people. And I just want to think that Ollie is the start of the redemption of Manchester United and of Ineos and things. So that's going to be the first thing that they get right. And then it's going to be good times from there. But that's because I'm an idiot.
Well, let's hope so. We can end on a high note. I see Raven Strip is here. It's 3 a.m. in South Africa, and I'm still watching the stream just for the love of our club. We should just keep faith. We will be successful again. Yes, for sure. One day, Man United will win the league again, but will it be in my lifetime? I don't know. But you know, guys, we have one more clip we haven't covered, so stay with us just for 5 more minutes, and we will call it the night. It's this was the Sesko, but we have to show the 2-2 goal from Burnley. So you know, I think it was poor defense. I think we were really passive at this stage.
Look at that midfield line, Jarvis. It's all straight. Like it's not staggered. Look at them. 4 players to look after one guy and the ref.
Who do we have? We have Lenny Yoro, we have Martinez, we have Luke Shaw, and
that'll be Dalot, won't it?
Yeah, and this is Mason Mount, Ugarte, Dogu. Yeah, so let's just play it through and see what happens. It's a brilliant finish, you know. It's a 1 out of 1,000, I would say, that finish.
Do you think so? I think if you give a Premier League player absolutely no pressure on the ball and that space 18 yards out, I think that's what you expect. Like, look at the distances between the centre. Look at the time he's got for the Premier League. That's an ice age right there.
Yeah. But again, you know, look at. We are quite comfortable in this situation. Look how many defenders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 against 1, 2.
Yeah, but it's just kid on stuff again, because none of them are actually doing anything.
No, and this is the thing. We switch off.
We weren't ever turned on. Like, no one's doing anything. They're just going through motions here. There's no desire to stop the goal.
It's lazy defending, as people say in the chat. Let's slow it down. I want to look at it in 0.4 from the get-go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touches inside our 18-yard box.
It's unbelievable.
With 3 defenders around.
I think they're all waiting for someone else to do something. I think Martinez thinks that Shaw's got it covered. Shaw is going to have to tackle from behind and give a penalty away to do anything there. So, and I think Yoro thinks that, like, Martinez is going to sort this out. And it's, I don't know, we like to say things like a lack of communication, stuff like this, but I think that this is just Martinez, like, having a daydream. And I don't think that the midfield works hard enough to get back. You can see Ugachuga, my number 8, running off the back of Ugarte there, with Mason Mount, like just watching. Like, Dalot is for once practically blameless here.
But it's a real danger. You see this guy, and us not picking him up. You know, there could easily be in a rebound on this one.
Exactly. Yeah, if it comes off the post, like Dalot's in a 2 versus 1,
or if he saves, you know. We're just switching off. That's the thing. That's the thing.
I mean, it's just a lack of concentration and understanding of danger. And I know it looks like Martinez is the big problem here, because he just goes. He just goes off on an imaginary. He turns his back on the player. I don't know what he's doing, but I would like a bit more hunger from Yoro, and I'd definitely like someone picking up that run. Like, look at the distance between Delo and Yoro there. You can drive. You can like skid a bus through that. You can drift a double-decker bus through that gap. There's no determination. There's no desire. This looks like good time boys. They just want to do the pretty stuff. They don't want to do the hard yards. And it's so disappointing, because it's this and a deflection that has cost us 3 points. But they absolutely deserve it. You deserve to get scored against there.
Yeah. And I think this has been our problem all season long. We can't keep a clean sheet. Our defense is poor. And even now, when we play with two centre-backs, I think, as you see, they are hesitant. Martinez is hesitant. He doesn't go in there, and he trusts Luke Shaw. And again, I think we will be even more hesitant playing with only two centre-backs, because at least when you have three, you could leave your space just to be aggressive. But we can't do that now. We need even better centre-backs playing with a back four. And I think a lot of our centre-backs will be exposed in the next couple of months. I think we will see, as we saw today, for example, Aiden Heaven, maybe not good enough for this level, playing in the back two. I think we will see problems with Maguire again, playing in the back two.
Yeah.
He will be exposed. I'm not quite sure when it comes to De Ligt. I feel maybe he will be in the same bracket as Maguire. So when we sit here in the summer, when the summer transfer window opens, I think a lot of us will cry out for a centre back.
Well, this is what I like. This is why I've always liked your Burger shout, or Burge, because but it's kind of like he will just go and sit in as part of the back three, and that allows Yoro or Martinez to be a little bit more aggressive, because there's a bit of cover there. And you won't get that situation where you've got a midfield in a straight line running back with players. You'll have someone who'll be able to come out and help manage that space. And I don't know what's happened before the lead up to that goal, but you look at it and it is something that if you saw at League Two, you would think that there's dodgy agents involved to get a collection of players so clueless about the basics of football on a football pitch. And they should. I want to see them have a bit of shame, to be honest. Like I want them to take pride in their defending, because they all love scoring goals and doing line-breaking passes. But where is the player in the back four that takes pride in just stopping anything, like not giving them a chance in a game, let alone a clean sheet, that they've managed everything? And that's my problem with these players, is that they don't take pride in defending. And if you don't have pride in something, you can't have shame in it.
And also, it happens every game all season. It's always like this passive defending, and also we're not communicating enough. We don't have the leader in our defense, and even with Martinez back, I think we still need a solid centre back coming in and doing the Van Dijk role, being the commander in chief.
Martinez is a number two to me. He's like the crazy guy next to the big boss that just starts drop kicking everyone and doing stuff. Like I tell you, two players that I think were a little bit underrated for this. It's obviously Johnny Evans. I think that he was brilliant at marshalling a back line, but I'm always amazed at the career that Victor Lindelof seems to have. But Victor Lindelof is really good with young players, and he's doing really well at Aston Villa. I think that when we think about who we're signing, we're going to hopefully we'll spend 200 million on the midfield, but it would be lovely to get some old experienced leaders and old heads in the back that can talk Yoro and Heaven through games and help them out in these situations. And someone who's a negative Nancy that will say, like, sure, you can't go that far forward, come back and sit in here. And I really feel that that's what we need. And sometimes in football we're much too concerned with, like, Like we always talk about how we can't break down a low block. We never talk about how easily our low blocks are getting broken down or something like that. And you know, you need that in football. The first thing you want to be is you want to be hard to beat and it's going to be a really hard game to play against you. And Burnley, this will be one of the, for those strikers, those attackers, this will be one of the easiest games they've played all season. Yeah. And that's what worries me.
Yeah. We need to recreate the Rio Ferdinand and Nemanja Vidic. And I would say Martinez is more like the Vidic type, and we need a Rio Ferdinand in all of this.
Yeah, give me Bruce and Pallister. They once they only conceded 4 goals at home in a season. Imagine that. Like that's what we need, players that are just they're absolutely obsessed with not just clean sheets, but not giving any of these strikers a sniff. Like that, and like whatever you think about Van Dijk, I think he's that kind of player.
Yeah, but look at Saliba and Gabriel. You know, look at how Arsenal, they can be up 4-1 and you know, having a transition in the 95th minute. Those guys, they track back. They have pride in not conceding goals, and I feel we switch off, and I think this is where our problem lies. I think it's mental. I think we need to be more.
I think it's standards, Jarvis. It's that there should be one very, very simple standard at Manchester United, which is you score goals at home and you don't concede goals at home, and you have that, and then you just build on it from there. But they're not defending for their lives to stop a goal being scored. When you know we've worked so hard. Benji Sesko has just pulled off a sort of like Mortal Kombat move to put us in the lead, and then we just lie down like a bunch of Yorkies and just let them have it. I don't trust any of these defenders, and I'm really, really hoping that one of De Ligt or Maguire comes back, because they're the nearest thing, I think, to players that have pride in their defending. Heaven and Yoro aren't going to have pride in their defending. Martinez has always been about himself. He's always been about trying to show that he's a hard guy and things. He's never felt part of you.
Yeah. Tyrone says Van Dijk has lost his club so many goals this season. Yeah, I know, but you know, when I'm talking about Van Dijk, I talk about the Van Dijk of Jurgen Klopp and 2017, 18, 19. I think it was. It was, or was it 18, 19? But it was extremely
good. Just say
good.
John Terry then, like Terry and Carvalho.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the greatest Premier League partnership, whether you want to admit it or not. They conceded 15 goals in a season. It's unbelievable.
What about Jaap Stam and Ronnie Johnson?
The Scandinavian boys. I mean, Jaap Stam, I think, is the best defender that I've seen for Manchester United. He doesn't get like the credit because he wasn't here like long enough, as it were. But pace. I mean, he was Ferdinand mixed with Vidic. He was just outrageous. It was like watching the Minotaur. Like there was no getting away from him. You couldn't like run past him. He'd come through the back of you. He was absolutely ridiculous.
Jaap Stam is still in coaching. Why can't we just bring Jaap Stam in as in the coaching team and on the Rolly, and he can be the defensive coach?
Do you think it's whether it translates across or not? I think that like players like Jaap
Stam was actually good friends back then.
Yeah, but I mean, does like what Jaap Stam's got? Is he able to kind of convey that and communicate it and express it to a Lenny Yoro or to a Heaven? Because if he can, he'd be at Manchester United or he'd be at Barcelona or Real Madrid or something. Like, but what I would like is I'd like them to kind of have, like, let's say at the academy, they have the Manchester United University, and every week you'll get a Nicky Butt or a Gary Neville or a Jaap Stam come and give a little speech or a talk about what it takes to be a United player. That's what I'd like, something like that, like a visiting speaker, Professor Keane this week, or, you know, Gary Neville's how to take a throw in, like 3-hour lecture. But even when you hear like Gary Neville talking about taking a throw in, Jarvis, and he's got all these different techniques and things, that's how utterly obsessed he was to the perfectionism and like the attention to detail. And I don't think that any of our players, with maybe the exception of Bruno, have got that level of obsession and pride. And I don't think that that's necessarily their fault. It's a lack of a kind of club culture. And this is another thing that I want Ollie to bring back in. Not just good times, but the standards that you need and the pride you've got to take in every pass, every goal kick. Like your kit's always got to look nice. You've got to be on time. These are the things that build. These are real marginal gains.
Yeah, the Roy Keane thing, and we had. Who did we have? We had on that former Marsh, the former Man United academy player who went on came on the show.
Oh, Phil Marsh.
Yeah, Phil Marsh. He told the Roy Keane story about Phil Marsh playing at the academy, and he made the Rabona cross, and Man United, the academy, the B team, and back then they scored on the Rabona, and Phil Marsh was so happy about it.
Yeah,
but Roy Keane came back from injury and he played that game, so he gave him the big guns in the locker room afterward. You never do that. You play a real cross. You don't do the Rabona.
Yeah,
it's bullshit. And he was so happy, but after that, Roy Keane put him in his place.
That's what. And Roy Keane would have done that to Nani as well. Like not just a young boy, but. The only time I've ever seen anything like that, and it's a shame because I thought it was the start of something, was when we beat Newcastle with Ten Hag in the Carling Cup final. I don't know if anyone remembers. Casemiro blew his top at Bruno after the final whistle because Bruno hadn't taken it to the corner or had given it away, and I think the score was it 2-1 that game? Like Rashford and Casemiro scored, didn't there? But it was a tight game, and Bruno had given them a chance at the end. Casemiro went crazy at him. I haven't seen anything like that. I mean, tonight I saw Delo. He refused to high five like heaven after the goal or something. Said no high fives for you. And like, where are the standards and the pride and things? Like when I talk to like my friend Yabba Forbes on another channel, or even like Stuart here. You know that these boys who have been in the game for 40 years take a huge amount of pride in the quality in their defending. They think that people around them should as well. Like they're quite, they're quite focused on their own performance, but no one else. Their left back isn't letting them down. They've got to have that pride as well, and it's just so disappointing that appears not to be in our Manchester United squad.
We have been touching so many things tonight. It's been a great conversation. I really enjoyed it, Darius, and I think the chat enjoyed it too. Guys, if you haven't smashed a like, it's time to do it now. If this is your first time on the Tactical Devils, do us a favor and subscribe to the channel. And I would love for you guys to leave a comment in the non-live section after the show and tell me your thoughts on this. We have been doing a very philosophical show. We have been talking about everything from the leadership, the Glazers, Ineos, to all the legends, and it's been a fantastic show. And by the way, I just want to bring up this comment from Tyrone. He mentioned Sander Birch. Where is it? I just need to scroll up. I lost it. But guys, if you didn't see the Man City, the Fulham, was it Fulham against Chelsea? Yeah, first half. I saw it before the Man United game started, and I had my eyes locked on Sander Birch, and he had a effing brilliant first half. The way he just shields that midfield, the defenders always win the second ball, always in the right area, making things easy, making things tick. And this is his strength. So I recommend you guys go and watch that first half at least. And by the way, Fulham, they beat Chelsea, 10-man Chelsea 2-1. And we are still in the race for top 5. But it's been a great show, guys. Thank you so much, Darius, for coming on.
My pleasure.
And Stu and I will be back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. usually. So see you then. Everybody have a good night and see you on the next. Bye-bye.